you have to hit okay. Anyway.
That's it. Just turn me on, turn me up, and turn me loose.
And we're live.
Well, hey, y'all.
We sure are. Dang.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, we're all live. I didn't tell you that before I hit the intro. Yeah, we all just came out at the same time. Surprise. Hello, everybody that's in chat and watching. Hello, all the moderators. How's everybody doing? Everyone ready for Christmas?
Oh, man. It starts tomorrow for us. It starts for Greg 18 minutes ago. He's just
Right.
Yeah, I'm actually about 32 minutes ago. But hey, not everybody's here, y'all. I'm gonna have to cut it out. And we got a Christmas thing at my mom's today, and I'm gonna do that, and then I'll be back in here in a little bit because it won't take these kids long to eat and rip through some wrapping paper.
I can't hear Greg.
Can you hear us?
I can hear y'all.
Yeah.
I can't hear Greg.
Oh, I could hear him.
Yeah, we
Like
can
when
hear
he
you.
was talking, it was silent.
Oh, you get it off the tick mode.
Unless y'all are messing with me, and y'all know that he's not
we
talking.
wouldn't do that, Nick. Hold
No,
on.
I can't hear Greg.
Can you hear me now?
No.
You can't hear me?
Well, y'all, Peyton might be
Apparently
messing
you
with
can't
us.
hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
I
hear you.
hear
I
you.
can't.
I will translate.
All right.
He says he'll be back here in just a little bit, that he's got family that's eating, and it won't take
It looks
long to
like he's
open
making
here,
a
so.
Last minute check on his deer fields with that gun rifle over there.
Yeah, the
Well,
gun
Here,
rifle.
we'll talk about all that. That's that's for safety purposes.
Safety
Oh, yeah.
purposes at a Christmas dinner?
Man, yeah, my family's a little wild.
Okay.
You gotta keep them in
Hey.
line.
I can't say anything. Me and Peyton, both of you, are strapped. We go to together.
Look,
Uh,
I'm the dude when I'm at church, I'm armed.
Security at the family Christmas party. Why's Greg sitting outside? He's making sure the bad guys don't get us, baby. Just open your present and eat your ham.
Ask no questions.
Yeah.
Man.
It'll be
Did
the porch for it's here.
Well, all right. Well, let me ask you something, Misty. What's Santa Claus bringing you?
Who knows? Probably nothing. I ain't been very good.
it might be a
Shocker
lot
there.
more.
I didn't even, y'all, I've not even put up a Christmas tree. Like, look,
What?
oh, I gotta show you. Look, I gotta show you my shirt. Hang on. Let me find the button again. Where is it? This has been my mood this year.
The Grinch.
How'd you turn them lights on?
Yeah, where's the button at?
No, we went through that earlier. I had to find the button before I got on here.
She
my
was
God.
groping. She was and she can't see you.
Turns out it wasn't a button on the front of the shirt. It's somewhere at the bottom on the side.
A squirrel no longer needs her glasses.
No.
She said, "Fuck being able to see."
Who needs eyeballs?
Yeah.
Who needs glasses? That's a suggestion.
That way you can claim accident, right?
This is true.
You're aiming right at them.
Plausible
Hey.
deniability.
Roger, at least I ain't never hit a deer sitting still. So, I mean, I see a little better than you do with your glasses.
Hey, I saw every bit of it happen. I just couldn't believe it.
Look, I'm still disheartened he deleted that video. Oh my God. That was like internet gold.
I was dying.
If Peyton hadn't have said, I hope that wasn't a homeless dude, I probably would have left it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You showed it wasn't a deer.
Huh?
Or you showed it wasn't dead or wasn't nothing on the side of the road.
I don't know what happened to it. I thought it was hung under the drive shaft for a little bit. I was scared.
I'm pretty sure it was. I mean,
Don't start
not
talking
every-
about that again.
not everybody
He's just
drives.
cooking it on the way home, getting a head start. It's all right.
And it was bad enough. I didn't realize Greg was on the phone. He heard every bit of it, and everybody on the show that was watching heard everything, and it was terrible. Bones crunching, and
Here we go.
I don't know.
It'd been better off. It would have been better off to get out and hit the deer with some 2x4s and kick curb stomp it on the side of the road. Is what it might as well have done.
For all the children out there, we're like
The way it
98%.
just slowly doot, 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 and you just hear hooves beating on the firewall of the truck.
Look, for all the children out there, we're 98% sure it was not one of the reindeer.
It might have been.
Yeah. Well, we know it. We know it wasn't Rudolph. We do know that.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry. I'm pissy. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Oh, y'all have no idea. For everybody watching, she's in a mood.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to be careful.
Look, every time we try to start a show with y'all, it spirals down into this.
You knew not to bring everybody out at once. You knew this was going to happen.
But see, that's the thing, though, Spencer. You know that, and you still do it.
Well,
So, hey, whose fault is it?
Well,
Us for being
y'all-
retarded,
Hey, y'all.
or
I mean, I didn't even know what Spencer had planned for today. I was just hoping we was going to talk about some like maybe memorable Christmases we've had that was maybe got some humor involved or something.
we're
that
already
time-
hitting on the humor. It's just not the Christmas thing.
like that time that Greg was sitting out in the truck and everybody's having to wait to eat and open Christmas.
Yeah, that was last year. That was last year.
Yeah. Yes. my mom has got it down that we have to have our Christmas and Thanksgivings like around 1:30 on the Sunday before. And I'm like, y'all, do you realize it's not only am I doing a podcast, but it's deer season. That's like the worst time to ever do it.
And Greg's holding up the whole family for 30, 40 minutes being on with us. And Verby's in the chat commenting, so you know she's watching while
No,
they're all waiting. Waiting.
She's not up here. I've got to actually call her. Hey, look, happy birthday, Barry. My cousin Barry.
Oh, is it? Happy
Verby's
birthday, Barry.
oldest son. Today's his birthday. So happy birthday, Barry.
Barry.
Happy birthday, Bear. Well, let's actually get into what we came here for. So, oh shit. Oh, look.
It's on now.
Oh,
Now we're really gonna do some talking. Hold on, we'll get him on here, and if his device would connect, he said he was having problems.
Hey,
Now he just got up and walked away. I'm gonna put him on in. Where are you at?
we're live.
look at that.
There he is.
Da-da.
It's Santa Claus.
Hey,
Well,
Howdy.
Well,
Can anybody?
hey Kumbo.
Howdy.
We were just
Hey.
now
Hey,
finishing
Roger.
up our BS.
Yeah. Hey, Peyton. Hey, Misty.
Hey,
Who's that
Kumbo.
guy over there?
I think he's
Son.
somebody's late for dinner.
it's starting to see bad.
Hey, Squirrel, can you turn
I can hear Greg now.
turn Kumbo's microphone up, please?
Let me see. I might need to turn it up on this end. Well, no, it's up pretty high.
No, you're good now.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Boy, man, I got some fuzzy hair today. Having a bad hair day.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Trust me, I took mine down last night, and y'all know the picture, if you've seen it, that Roger posted of the Bob Ross. Like, that was my hairstyle last night.
Hey, you may have to mute my mic some, because the guys are out here finally putting in fiber internet now. So
Oh yeah, good.
All
we're
right.
out here working in the yard, and the dogs have to keep warning us, and they think they're going to rob us, kill us, whatever.
That's
Steal all my treasure.
That's dedicated to Sunday before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I'm telling you, they were out here pretty early this morning. Sandy got in on their good side. She found a pair of their channel locks they'd dropped out there in the driveway and returned them to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are dedicated. Well, the trouble was they couldn't, they got a contract deadline to meet, and the fiber supplier was running way behind. They were like 2 or 3 weeks with no fiber. Let me see here. I got to turn on the chat so I can see what's going on in there. All right. I'm clicking on it. Oh, I got to get over here. There we go. There we go. Let me see who I missed.
hey, Jim.
Hey everybody.
Get in here. Well, we got what, 70 now?
Merry Christmas, everybody. I mean,
Merry Christmas. I don't know, Roger. You're gonna have a Christmas, not a live show, but a show on Christmas.
Right. We for the first time ever recorded a show, because every holiday fell on a Thursday this time, so I didn't want to miss a week, and I didn't want anybody to come on, Christmas. So last night we had Flat Rock and Kenny Shiver time. It was it's going to do it. I know a lot of y'all won't get to watch it on Christmas, but I was thinking, what am I going to do? And I'm like, let's get some of the Booger family on. It's always nice to have people we know and have had experiences with. So.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we got everybody on here today, and this is going to be. It's kind of funny, because one of the biggest shows that's in our history on our channel is a show that we made over a year ago, and it was called Bigfoot Do's and Don'ts. Do y'all remember that one?
I do.
Because Jimbo, you were on there with us. We were all on here just like this. Well, it's kind of funny. So what I was wanting to talk about is, now Roger and Peyton are going to have to go back, and they're going to have to tell about this piece of property from the get-go, so that everybody can understand how this happened. But this is kind of like a learning thing, really, in a way, if you pay attention to it. And you'll see so many similarities to other people's stories. For example, the late, great Kerry Arnold, very, very similar line of events. Greg's own stuff, very similar line of events, but there's a twist. Roger did something a little bit different. But anyway, we're going to have to go back, and we're going to have to kind of start at the beginning of how all this happened. So, y'all go.
Peyton, you wanna tell them about the very first time we scouted the place?
So yeah, it was
the Rock.
What was that, like 2021?
2020. Yeah.
So I had my uncles ended up they had bought this family farm that we've had. I don't even know how long it's been in the family. Probably at least 50 years. And I hadn't had nowhere to deer hunt for a while since, divorces and everything like that had happened. We had to sell some family properties and stuff like that. So my mom was like, well, why don't you give your uncle a call? They just got the family property down there in Petersburg. I'm like, all right. So I call and I'm like, hey man, you care if I hunt out there? He's like, I don't care. Nobody. I don't hunt no more. I don't really care nothing about it because he's got cows and work and all that. So anyway, I called. I asked him, well, can my dad come out there with me? So I'm at least not there by myself or whatever. Just because I didn't know the area. And I know Daddy had turkey hunted on it once a long time ago. So I called him. I'm like, hey, do you want to come scout this? Just look. We're not even really shooting nothing necessarily. Just it was like a week before gun season, I think. And yeah, we went out there the week before gun season, and we were looking, finding all the acorn beds and trails and water and just what is the first things you would look for if you're going to hunt something. So we made it on the we were getting on the back side of the property going up a hill, and that's when we had the rock throwing the little experience. We found that. Did we see we saw the tree broken over first.
Yeah, it was a
And
sapling about that big around.
it was facing
Snap.
towards the field, like out towards the field. And then it wasn't what do you think? Probably 30 seconds after we saw that and we're talking about it, we hear see the rock come over the hill and like clack on all the other rocks. And then your phone goes crazy.
Yeah.
I think Siri said, I'm sorry, I do not understand. And it was in your loose
Mhm.
Carhartt pocket because it was like it is now. I mean, it wasn't even that cold that day. I don't know. It was probably 65, 70 degrees. Sun was out.
Well, and at
So
that point, we're not in hunting mode, but we're not really talking loud either. We're pointing and, just trying to be quiet. And as I stepped past that tree to break up the hill, that's when the phone went off. We weren't talking. It says, "I'm sorry, I don't quite understand." And then that's the rock at the simultaneously that happened, and it was so much happened at one time. I immediately knew something had. I hadn't had anything happen in 30 something years with Bigfoot. I'd watch YouTube and all that because once you see one, it never goes away. You're looking for new stuff every now and then. And when I saw the tree break, I was like, wait, is this what they were talking about? Maybe a marker? And I didn't say anything out loud. I'm looking at it and all tree, the bark. And it was y'all know a high pressure break when something snapped and it's real strong. The splinters were out the back like violently, and there was nothing fell on it. It was crazy. So anyway, that was the first thing that happened. And we left immediately and talked about it and went back hunting. Nothing happened for a few times. And I don't remember the exact next thing that happened, but I know Patton had called Greg because it sounded like something was either beating its chest or beating on the ground. Peyton was about to take a doe, so he was laying on the ground, had the bipod out, and was about to squeeze the trigger, and this thump would have,
Well, I could see her face. She probably wasn't but 160 yards away on this hill, and I've got my scope turned up to like 9 power or something, so I can see her pretty good. And I see her eyes like get big, and I see the whites in her eyes, and she looks behind her and just freezes. And I was like thinking, oh, well, maybe there's a big buck about to come up because she was looking like she's right here, I'm right here, and there's a dip in between us, and then the over where she was looking would have been up the hill for me. So I was thinking I was getting in position to maybe a big buck was coming out in that tree line up there, and I was trying to maybe move, and then I saw her. She just locked on whatever this was, and then it sounded like something was either beating its chest or stomping a foot. It almost maybe like a fist on the ground, a big hand on the ground or something. I don't know. It was crazy. It was boom, boom, like just every so many, seconds. And it stopped. She froze. And I was listening up here, but watching her at the same time. And when it stopped, this is what I was telling Daddy the other day. When it stopped, doing that, and it went on, did whatever left. She didn't flag. She didn't blow. She eased out of that high grass, and when she had the clear for the fence, she hauled ass. Like she was gone. She didn't, like I said, she didn't want something to know that she was even there. So she never flagged or like I said, blew or nothing.
He told me, we were talking about it, and I said, what was going through your head? And he said, Daddy, I thought I was going to look over my left shoulder, and one of them big son of a bitches is going to be standing there looking at me. So,
over some bodock trees or something, like where they're.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Spencer.
So, just to make it clear for everybody, you had access to a property of your uncle's where he said he had stopped hunting. There was livestock out there, cows and stuff, right?
Yep.
He had stopped hunting. How long? Any idea how long it had been that he was not hunting that property?
Well, I don't know. I know he got the property in about 2015, and this was 2020. So I don't know if he had hunted it at least 5 years. I mean, I would guess. I don't know if he hunted it when he first got it or not. Honestly, I didn't see any pictures. I didn't see like any pictures on Facebook or anything like of deer that he had killed and stuff. So I don't know.
Spencer has seen the property from the satellite view, and we're talking about the reason it's a good place to hunt is because it's a hard place to hunt. Nobody, nowadays it's tough, and we have to walk. Yeah, we started stealing the granddaughter's wagon and pull deer out.
You would think by looking at it, because again, people are lazy and nobody wants to. The old saying about hunting big bucks is you got to go where nobody else is willing to go, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there's a correlation there with boogers as far as being in somewhere that the average person doesn't really go to. So looking at it like I have, this is just my thoughts on it, is that, if the average person is not willing to go up those hollers and get up on those ridge lines, good chance there's not a lot of people getting in there from any which way. And the area is probably isolated. And then you guys show up. So the very first time you have the tree break that you see, you have a rock get thrown at you, and as the rock's getting thrown, an electronic device, your phone, messes up. And then how long in between that and whenever what Peyton was just talking about with looking at the deer and the deer got spooked and you were hearing the thumping?
Was that the second or third season? I mean, we didn't have anything happen.
I don't think it was it last year or was it the year before?
Maybe the year before, but
and another thing, the year before, because not much happened last year. I don't.
Well, think. In between, y'all, is when we start these locust trees that are some of the toughest things on the planet, with those 3 and 4 inch thorns that were broken down like a Y, and nobody in their right mind there. And then we go again. We're and loader. Which you can look at, every thorn was intact, even the broken. So something reached in, it's very strong, and broke it down. Well, he found that one on, and if you continued up the ridge, that's where his new stand was. Now, we didn't have stands the first couple years, so when he put the stand up, there was a marker. The next year, he found one at about 10.5 foot, same ridge, new break. There's millions of these things. You have to be careful. They get you. So
it's so bad he can't bush hog up there anymore because there's so many of them that you would just, your tires on your tractor would be flat. Because there's some that the thorns are that long on them, and he's gonna have to pay somebody to come in with a skid steer with one of them grinder things on the front that's just chews it up. Because
so
there's no
when
more
you walk
bush
across this ridge that used to be Kumbo and Greg could be 20. I don't care what color they're wearing. It's so thick. and that's the reason we have success at the place hunting, because we use that cover to slip up on deer. You check your wind and all that stuff. So it's good and bad. But the same, we usually walk in that way, and then we walk out another. That's important for later.
Yep.
We walk in that way, and we always walk the easier way down when we leave. We found those 2 breaks back-to-back years. This third one, the third we found, we were walking and going to do some. It was that day, I think, that some of this happened. There was a new break, but it was different. It wasn't broken 2. It was 1 facing down the other ridge. And I'm like, this is different. I said, Peyton, what's different now? He said, those people that got permission to hunt, that tree stand is down that way, exactly the way that Lim was pointing. I'm like, wait a minute. So, and when he tells you what happens later, this is the same area. We had one day in, my hip went bad, and he drove me as far as he could.
Bad.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. You might want to jump off and jump back on, Roger.
I just moved my router closer.
Okay.
Am I good now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I took a chair and really knew I wasn't going to do be really hunting. I was going to be there with him. And I sat back in the fence row with honeysuckles and stuff. I got as hid as I could. Now I'm sitting there, it starts getting daylight, and I hear 2 heavy footfalls. And there's a lot of rock in certain sections of this land. There's just too much rock. And I heard, when something steps on a rock that's loose on another rock, a bigger one, and it rocks a little bit and it makes that noise when it grinds against the other one. I heard 2 heavy footsteps and that. And I'm like, crap. I was hoping they wouldn't be here today. And then all of a sudden my right ear started buzzing, and I felt pressure like a tornado or driving up a mountain. And this buzzing, it really messed with me a little bit, because at that point I've never had that happen, especially sitting still like that. And then it took those steps, but I didn't hear it leave. So after a while, I had a couple coyotes that were doing something down the hill. So I thought, I need to get where I can see a little better. So I don't want to get, caught from behind with one of those. And I left the area, but that day there was no deer, no squirrels. It was just quiet. And usually when we notice that, because y'all know when the sun comes up, the first things that happen, the squirrels and the birds start doing their thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've learned if that happens, we're probably going to be all right. But if it's really, really quiet, it's usually for a whole day. And we've had things happen in those situations. So we've had a lot. I mean, we spooked up to use Tim's words. We spooked up a booger on that end of that day. We carried food with us and water. We didn't want to walk out and come back in. We started out our normal spot, and it was getting dark, but that green field there we could see, and I didn't have a light on, but it was dark on the right side on that ridge. And I think we surprised it, because we started talking, and something really heavy with 2 feet, you could tell when it turned towards us. I was like, oh God, that sounded big as a bull, but it huff growled at us like it was just, it hit us, And Peyton, Kumbo, you're going to like this. So Peyton starts up to look through the scope, because we know what it is. I mean, you just know what it is. He starts up with his scope, and I put my hand on top of the scope. I said, you know what Kumbo told us about that? He said, oh yeah, I forgot. I was trying to get a look, and I put my hands up. I showed my hands. I said, look, we're leaving. You can have the place. We'll be back in a few days, but we're leaving right now. And we left. It never moved. It never ran. We walked out, and he looked at me, and he said, this is getting to where it don't scare me as bad. Because when a deer takes off running, if you got enough experience in the woods, the hooves will hit rocks. There's rocks everywhere. The hooves will hit rocks. A goat runs, a cow even. You can tell a cow's running. But when one of these things move, it's different. It's like Peyton heard the thumping. It's a big soft footfall, if that makes sense. It's not a hard hoof, and I can't explain that. You just have to hear it. But Peyton, man, we found that big X the next season. We were walking up the other side. We were scouting, and I had been in that field a ton. Peyton got a big buck over there, and it's grown up too. And we were walking up through there, and there's a trail, and there's a clear spot where the cedars are it's a big open spot going into the woods. We found a huge X made out of cedar trees, and I didn't know enough at the time. I took a picture of it, but these trees had been grown for a few years and then died. Well, I went back. I got to thinking about it, and I went back, and one tree had a root system. It had been laid over against a tree, but that other one was brought in from somewhere else. It wasn't native to that spot, if that's the word to use. And that right there told me quite a bit, that it could have come from 10 feet away, but it didn't just happen to fall over accidentally like that. So,
right.
I mean, then I don't know if what this would fall under, but I was in almost the dead center of the property, and there's like a pond that it just catches drainage off the hill basically. And there's a big, some spots it's about 8 foot deep, but it's like a ravine that runs through the middle of the property going down the hill. But I heard it, and it sounded like a young boy, like man, like not like a grown up, but like probably like a 15-year-old kid. And it sounded like he said, I heard it like clear as day. It said, "This creek will make a good spot." And I'm like, nobody's supposed to be here. I'm like, so I text my uncle and I'm like, "Hey, you got anybody hunting out here that like you just forgot to tell me about or something?" He's like, "No, you're the only one that's supposed to be here." And I'm like, And then it was like, well, if there was someone out here, there's no way they're sneaking up on you because of rock, like a person, because of rocks. Like, I don't care how sure-footed anyone thinks they are out there. It's like, it's just rocks. There's your clothes are going to be getting snagged on all kinds of briars and those what are they called? Those
the locust thorns and stuff.
The locust thorns and stuff like that.
Well,
so I'm like, I would have heard somebody walking in. I would have heard somebody walking in, because I was being relatively quiet.
The reason I'm laughing,
even then, I'm not quiet. Like I can't even sneak really. Like you have to do it under like the cover of wind or like when the cows are around when you want to move. If you're doing that, like if you're actually walking through the property, but
we were up on one of the big ridges one day, and I had my glasses like I wear them sometimes on top of my head, and I stepped on a rock, and I fell. I landed on that 357. It's on my right hip. Well, what happened was those glasses fell off, and I landed on them, and they snapped. Peyton thought I broke my hip. He said, "Did you just break a bone?"
I heard snap, and then the butt of his shotgun hit the ground, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is about to be awful." Like I thought that like it was chaos. I mean, and I slipped out there one time. I was on the top on the other side of the hill, and I slipped. Thank God I had my backpack on, and I didn't hurt myself. But yeah, it's just sneaking through, and just you hit a slick rock that's got leaves on top of it, and then under that it's got moss or something like.
So, and
it just stays.
So it's very. The terrain is very. It deters a lot of people from even wanting to hunt. The front part of the property along the old road is pure rock, just big rocks and everything, and the cedars. It's rough, it's snaky. Even the road hunters don't have a good place to hunt, which is good. And it's so thick, y'all. And I'm sure we're forgetting some things, but we've never felt threatened, but we've been run out a few times, if that makes sense. With the rock toss.
This wasn't on this property, It was on this property that I heard it, but whatever I heard wasn't on that property. It was ridges over. Dude, it sounded like you opened the gates of hell or something. Like it sounded like a bull, a monkey, and an elephant, and all kinds of other shit going on. Like just, but it was so far away, but it was not a bull. Like, I mean, it was crazy. It was loud, and then that was probably probably 45 minutes before the sun came up that I could hear that. But
So that's the history, and we're maybe missing some things. Uh, but having the conversations with Kumbo and y'all and Kane, and you know, we went up there this time. He was going to put a blind up close to his stand, and we're not being quiet. And
for bow hunting,
for bow hunting, we're not
Yeah.
being quiet. We didn't see a new break. We looked for that, and we'd been there a while. I had took a chair to sit in to watch him work because my situation. All of a sudden, we heard it sounded like a primate vocalization on the ridge across from us, and we both looked at each other. He was inside the blind testing the height and stuff for his shooting stick and all that, and of course, it acted like a parabolic, like mic ear. It was louder to him. He's like, "What the hell was that?"
dude,
And
it did it. It was like a like that, like but louder and over the hill. It sounded like a howler monkey. How they'll do that, like that. That's what it was. But it was over the.
it was bigger.
What do you say? It was probably 400 yards away at first. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
it's
then
hard to judge me because I was in that blind.
Yeah.
And it bounced off all the walls. I didn't even know which way it come from. And I come out and he's looking across the field over there. But yeah.
And we like, okay, we might have misheard something or whatever. Went about maybe 10 minutes and it did it again. It was a lot closer on the same ridge. It was coming to us. So we spread out. I'm like, it's over there, but it can be here pretty quick. And it was the second time when it made the sound, the same sound. We knew then it wasn't just, you could have a tree rub together when the wind or just whatever. You can have a sound. Well, the second time, it's like the gunshot. When you get somebody's location, whatever. Well, we knew right then that it was coming closer to us. So I was sitting there and I did a couple of things I might not should have. I've never left glyphs. I've never left anything. I've never done any of that. So while he was doing his thing, I'm looking around and I found two small old cedar trees that had been downed, and maybe we cut them a couple years ago for him in his tree stand. So I made a big X. There's about 10, 12 foot a piece. It wasn't about that big around or so. So I wedged them in there and I wedged them together and they're real tight. And I'm looking around. I found a log dead. It's about like that, about 4.5 foot long, probably 5. And I made an asterisk and I put it in there and I tested it. And I said, well, I'm going to leave this here. I had a feeling we were being watched. So I said, I'm going to leave this here. I said, now
about 50 yards from my stand, mind you. Like, he leaves this shit right next to where I go walk in the dark and deer hunt. So
what a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, look, now the cows can knock this over because they come in here quite a bit. But just next time you come up here, check on it for me. And the next time he went in, all 3 pieces of wood were gone. They weren't in the wood. We don't know where they're at. They're gone. But next time I go back, I'll look a little more and see if they were actually thrown from that spot, if I can find them, or I don't know. So, but that started something because the next time he went in, it wasn't the next time, it was the opening day of gun season, if I'm not mistaken. It was 45 minutes before daylight. Tell them what happened to you right there on the ridge with all the markers going in.
So I was walking in and I got there, 45 minutes before daylight or whatever to get in, get all my noise made and get done so I can sit and quiet. But I was on the way up and I've got a headlamp on and it's I think it's like 1,000 lumens bright. And I'm walking up through there and every now and then, like, you have to look down because if you walk in the night, in the dark, you will break your ankle or you'll slip and fall or something. So you got to keep looking up and keep looking down, whatever, to keep, see what's, because I've almost stepped on. He's got a bull out there that I almost tripped over because he was laying down in the pathway and I didn't even see him until right there. So, I was looking up, looking down, and well, I looked up and I caught a glimpse of like some orangish, yellowish eye shine, and it's hard to tell the distance because it was night and I didn't really see a silhouette, or it was dark and I didn't really see a silhouette or nothing. So I'm looking, and at the angle that it is, it's still taller than me. And anything at where it was at, where I'm at's kind of flat, but on to my right and like a half moon shape kind of, everything starts running back downhill. So I'm like thinking, oh, that's a cow, and they're like, well, no, that's taller than a cow should be right there where that's at. Because like I said, if it's anything standing there, shouldn't be taller than me, because that's a pretty good incline going down. And then I was like, damn it, I done walked up on one of these things. What do I do? And I didn't run or point a gun or nothing. I just said, hey, I'm not here for you, big son of a bitch. Go back doing whatever you were doing. I'm just hunting or something. I don't know exactly word for word what I said, but it was something to that effect. And they at the eyes were about that far apart. And I seen this one disappear and then this one disappear. Like it turned around, and it was some like a little like a deep breath of like relief or
Frustration, maybe.
acknowledgement, frustration. I don't know, but it was like a little like that, and it was walking at about a 45-degree angle. It sounded like on up away from where I was gonna be, and like I said, it was raining that day, so to hear a footstep it's got to be a big something, because it had been raining for about 2 days. And I was like, well, I guess I'm here now, and if it wanted me, it'd get me. So get up to the stand, sit there. About daylight, probably 20, 30 minutes after the sun comes up, I hear like a like it was bad. Like it was very, very bad alcohol. And I remember what Daddy had said and y'all had said about the alcohol. I'm like, son of a bitch. Ain't seen a deer. Like it's, usually about that time is when you start seeing stuff. And don't know what happened with this, but I heard dogs going off further away and they're all barking. And I hear one of them like that. And then everything stopped. Like they all shut up. So I don't know if it got hit with a rock or if it got its self deleted or what happened, but yeah. So I mean, then I'm texting Daddy. I'm like, hey, you call me real quick.
Woke up to like 15 missed messages and phone calls. He said, call me now. I'm like, what's going on? But so this is over 5 years, 5.5 years. And I'm sure there's some things we're missing, but it seems like it's been more, and because we hadn't had one advance on us, which we had that now. And after leaving that asterisk, Peyton's walking out the other day and going down, and he finds a cow mandible, lower jaw, and it was stuck up in the ground. Like there's no reason for it. And he checked to see if maybe a truck had run over a tire and it flipped up or what, but it was something took and stuck it up in the ground, in the trail where we exit, or and he exit. So that's
the same trail that you take out pretty much
every time. Yep.
Right?
Yep. So that's where we're at on that property now. And like, say if we go hunting 10 times, I'm not with him every time, of course, but if we go 10 times, there might be something happen 1 or 2 times. And then we had one year it was really, really, really dry. The pond dried up. The spring was like almost nothing. That place had a different feel about it. There, we had absolutely no activity that season, but there was no water either. So it was it. I'm assuming. I don't know, Peyton. I don't remember the acorn situation that year, but I'm assuming it was kind of light too.
It was odd because it was a warm winter. Like it seemed like every time I went hunting, it'd be like 50 degrees at 7 or 8 o'clock or something. Like it was just that nothing had a reason to eat really a lot like it would if it was super cold. So I don't know. Yeah, it was that was a weird year. And then I do know that like the past 2 years, don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it's only 2 years there hasn't been like a dead cow somewhere on the property. First 3 or 4 years there was a cow would die or whatever, and my uncle would drag them off, and it seems
Same
like
area.
the same area, and like the first year there was a big bull that had died probably about 200 yards from where I'm at down the hill, and anyway,
Oh,
yeah, that's just
well, and I remember one morning when we first started doing this, I go in and I'm just there to support him. You know, I'm hunting, but I want him to, hunt. And we have the radios. And so I found me a spot not far from where this bone was stuck in the ground, but it's 3 years before probably. So I sit down and I'm like, okay, the wind's hit me right in the back of the head. It's a real light breeze. And it was that's a good direction for it to be blowing for me where I was at. And it hadn't got daylight yet, and I'm sitting in this chair, and all of a sudden I get this horrible smell, and it didn't. I've smelled dead animals all my life. It kind of reminded me of that, but it had a little bit of wet dog and decay instead of death. And I know what a coyote stinks to high heaven. If people that don't know, they've got a certain smell too. But I don't think it was a coyote. And I'm thinking, man, I done sat here in a spot. I'm about to get up and move because there's obviously something dead back here. It was my first thought. But then I realized I only smelled it for like a couple seconds. I said, and I'm like, oh shit, that's moving. So I got on the radio. I said, Peyton, we got something moving around out here that stinks. So, take that for what I'm not saying it's a booger or nothing, but just keep your eyes open. So,
I
You
wonder if
forgot
that's
that
why.
you got me permission to hunt up there.
sir,
I
what
said,
do you say?
Roger, you forgot that you gave me permission to hunt up there that weekend.
Yeah. If y'all that don't know, Kumbo takes a shower every Saturday, whether he needs it or not.
That's right. That's right.
No,
Right about the time
every
we
other
started.
Saturday.
Every other
Saturday.
His 7-day deodorant wears off.
yeah.
Well,
No,
that's what I was going to say.
It saves me and it jumps up and runs away.
The coyotes or whatever, if a lot of people don't know, they stink because they're scavengers, and then they roll around in it and all that, plus what they eat. And it's probably got a lot to do with the booger smell too. I mean, not that I don't think that they can, do it when they want to, like a skunk or something. I'm just saying, I'm wondering if their diet is a lot of why people smell such an odor from them sometimes.
And it's odd,
Maybe
Kumbo might can
wild
answer this.
and-
Like a lot of people report no smell with a face-to-face encounter, but you're not checking the wind when that happens, so and that would have a lot to do with it.
And they can release the smell when they want to. I mean, they all have some kind of a smell, but the really, really bad stuff, they save it for special occasions. I mean, they can. I'm serious. I am dead serious.
No, I agree. I think so too. No, I'm just saying. I'm wondering if sometimes when you're smelling a little bit of something, but it don't smell exactly like a coyote, but you get a whiff. I'm wondering if it's like either in their hair or.
And on the smell issue, you have people describe the smell different ways. I've smelt the BO trash smell one time, but the one that I smelled that was way out of place smelled more like ammonia and trash. It smelled like strong urine, but I mean, it was like Greg described the smell one time as like a cloud. Like it was almost like it had a tangible substance to it, like where it was thick.
Yeah.
But people get caught up in going, oh, well, if it smells like this, then it's a booger. And if it smells like this, it might not. Kumbo, what were you saying about the flowery, sweet smell? Something about a female? Or
yeah, if you're what I have found, and I've actually been able to corroborate this with a couple of researchers up in the Pacific Northwest, is they can also release like a sick, sweet smell, like ultra concentrated, women's perfume or something. It's like concentrated flowers, or like almost like concentrated, like sort of like spent mash out of a still or something, and almost like a fermented fruit smell. But it's very, very strong. And unfortunately, when I have smelled it, several times, and other reliable eyewitnesses that I know of, what we figured out is actually their breath. It's depending on at certain times of the year, it could be their breath. And if you smell that, you're right up on top of one. I'm talking about less than 50. Yeah. Probably you're within about 20. You're 25 feet or less from it.
Kumbo, I got a question.
If you're smelling that strong, sweet smell. Oh, hang on just a second. My audio's been screwed up. They're putting me in some new fiber internet in front of the house, and my everything's coming and going, so I'm just barely on here. But I want to thank everybody that said hi when I came in, and thank everybody that's been hollering at me and everything. I'm not ignoring y'all. I see it, but I just couldn't respond.
So you had told me one day we were talking about, if you see one that looks unkept, that it might have been pushed out of the pack, So is there any correlation between the bad smell, maybe one that's ungroomed and more aggressive encounters versus the ones that are groomed and less aggressive?
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
Be. And I know exactly what you're saying. I know absolutely exactly what you're saying. There could be a correlation between the ones that are being groomed on a regular basis and the ones that are not. I know out here on the farm, most of the ones that we see out here look like they just came from the beauty shop. I mean, their the hair is shiny and clean looking. But then we had, I've seen a few that usually were loners, and they look like they'd been, they were dirty and they would have matted hair on them on occasion. And you could be, hi, Laura Ladd. But some of them have just a funky, stinky dirty urine smell all the time, no matter what. But they've got their secret weapon. All of them got that secret weapon that'll take your breath away when they want it to.
Hold on before I forget. I got to ask this because Roger had to ask something too. But
I'm not going to argue with you today. You're already in a mood, so please carry on.
I just got a question about the scent, because if it's not like if they're doing that or whatever, and that's their breath, if they're trying to put off like another odor, like, I know this is gross, but like, do they do it like a skunk, or do they do it through like their sweat glands, or like, do they belch it?
I think it's sweat, and I think sometimes that sick, sweet smell that they can belch it, because I think it's not there all the time, but I think that they can belch it up. And I've got one of my dogs where she'll come right up to you, sit there looking at you so sweet, and you and it's
yeah. Y'all remember?
Face, but back to what Kenneth was saying. Yes, they can turn off the really bad stuff. They can turn it off and turn it back on. And I think, I worked in a zoo for a little while, part time when I was in college, and I know we had an old male gorilla that was really cool. I liked him, and but if he got agitated, he'd be doing much stuff, and they say it came out of his armpit glands or something. But my God, all of a sudden, it just knock you down. I mean, it'd have you doubled over gagging.
Well,
But
if you can find
he
it
never
in
he never
nature,
did it.
wow.
But there was a guy that worked there that ended up getting fired because he kept messing with him and taunting him, and he'd get mad at this guy and he'd stink up the whole place.
That's kind of so my thoughts on it would be just like if you're talking about the smell, we've all had them close and not smelled anything at certain times. And then there are other times where you smell it. That's just like you could have them close and you don't hear any vocalizations, but you might get a branch break or a rock thrown, but they're not growling at you or vocalizing at you. And my point would be just like on the scent, if they can give that off selectively, the point is there's no hard and fast rules for exactly how they're going to behave. And
exactly,
you can't just say, well, it's not a Bigfoot because this and this didn't happen, and you can't say it is a Bigfoot because I heard a branch break.
Right.
But on what Roger and Peyton are talking about, just so I can hold on, can we
there you go.
Okay,
that's one right there before.
These are typical structures. These are mine. I'm just showing y'all a compilation of some structures. So if you're in the woods and you start noticing stuff like this, does it 100% mean that the booger's there? No. That one right there's got a twist on it. Can y'all see that?
Yep.
But so the thing I wanted to show you, like this track right here. Okay, so some of those pictures that I just showed you are from my area up here in Virginia. Well, then I started having vocalizations or caught vocalizations. Then I find stuff like tracks, have had things thrown, branches broke. And the point is, but the point I'm trying to make anyway, especially with what Roger and Peyton are describing, is that when you start finding certain things in an area, if you do what Roger did, which is to actually instigate it and make marks of your own, it may very well lead to these things recognize that you know about them. We go back to that they know if you know kind of thing. And then they start, I don't know about necessarily showing themselves to you, but they start interacting with you in one way, shape, or form. That's how it seems to be happening. It seems like a recurring pattern.
Well, I talked to all of y'all separately, and that one. Can you show that one glyph with the stick in the middle, and then before it was manipulated?
Yeah.
Okay. So
let me see.
What I did, I talked to Spencer, and I made when he gets to it here, I made one exactly like this to see. Now this was at the north end spot, right? It wasn't at the south end. Right there you go. So I made that right there, and when I came back, the top two sticks were. The top stick was pulled down to the second stick with maybe an inch in between, and it was level. The bottom two sticks were made in a point pointing to the right. The ends of the sticks were touching on those bottom two on the right side. So it made like a greater sign, it was now, if it had been a small animal, walked through the middle of it, I would think it would have been in disarray, like all jacked up, These things were placed and that kind of really freaked me out a little bit, even though the stuff that we've seen and heard.
What that means when it's set up like that right there, that means you're watching channel 15. When they bend them, two of them touching on one end there to the bottom, they want you to go up to channel 48.
Yeah,
Well,
on your
in
antenna.
in a way that, just so everybody knows, what you're seeing, that picture right there that you're seeing of that glyph, I made that. I put that out. Then the glyph was maneuvered, not by me.
Mhm.
So some of the other, I don't know where, like that.
There you go.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
They moved it to that. And
Was
they
the
moved
peanut butter jar gone?
like that. They moved it to that. I was putting out peanut butter to get them to incentivize them to come mess with the glyph. And every time I would put out the peanut butter, they would move it to another glyph. And now it's not like I'm an expert on this. I got the information from somebody else that told me the methods for how to do it, but they were doing it. Those peanut butter jars, every time I put out the peanut butter jar, those were on my property. I've never found the peanut butter jars. There's like 5 or 6 of them that are just gone. And I mean, I've walked all over every bit of property that I own, can't find them anywhere.
Do y'all remember, this hit me while Kumbo was talking about the smell. Do y'all remember Donnie Miller's account?
Yeah.
And it got right up behind him, and he said the breath smelled like fermented oranges.
Yes, he said sickeningly sweet.
Yep.
It was making him sick.
Yeah.
Yep.
That when I was watching that interview for the first time, that gave me goosebumps. That's entirely too close. I've been fortunate enough to see these things in relatively safe environment in a vehicle or far enough away. I thought I was okay. But as big as these things are, I cannot sit here and say that if I had a face-to-face encounter that I wouldn't just pee all over myself and run like a, throw my hip out and everything else. Because when you realize how massive some of them can be, we spew numbers all the time, 8 foot, 10 foot, whatever, so many 100 pounds. Until you see it, it's undescribable. I mean, really, but
just wait till you are easing along and you're trying to get through. You think you see a structure ahead of you and you're trying to get through some briars and stuff, and it's pretty thick briars and your jacket's all hung up. And then you get that sick, sweet smell. And all of a sudden you see hair moving through the brush in front of you, like 7 or 8 feet away. And you realize if you run, you're going to leave most of your skin there hanging in the briars.
but you do it anyway.
Well, you start speaking in tongues is what you start doing.
Oh, me. Apparently I do that when I get excited.
Yeah.
Let Kumbo answer that one question there, because this kind of applies to the topic. Do they strip bark off limbs or just make structure?
Absolutely.
I know. Yeah.
They do both. But they do a lot of the bark that they strip off of cedars, and cedars there's some kind of a chemical in cedar bark that's like an antifreeze sort of. It helps them stay warm. And they'll strip barks off of willow trees and some other stuff because the bark is got like the same stuff in it that aspirin is made out of. It's like nature's aspirin. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff found in different types of bark.
Well,
and go ahead.
On the cedar tree thing, since we're talking about structure, I don't have photographs of it. I've only seen it one time, and it was right whenever I first got in this, and I didn't think anything about it. Actually, I take that back. I might have saw it one time on a wilderness survival outing, because I remember looking up in there and going, what the hell happened to the branches? But the lower branches being missing, broken off and missing, from the underside of a cedar tree or a long needle pine, something where the branches hang way out. If you crawl up under the
Right.
base and you see a lot, do you know? Oh, you know about that. Well,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
I've seen it many times. Yeah, they'll a lot of times they're doing it so that they can watch you. If you look around, what's around there, see if there's something worth watching, like a field or somebody's house or something like that. And it's a little observation post. And well, plus, I used to find them a lot out there in Missouri, and a lot of people had windbreaks around their houses that they had planted. And it was not uncommon to be looking around out there. They'd say, "Hey man, there's something. I keep seeing these big old eyes out there underneath the trees, you know." So you walk out there and look, and man, they've come into the backside where you can't see it from the house, and they've broken off enough of those low hanging branches they can get in there, and then they've broken off more, and you can see where they've been laid up there, you know, watching or getting out of the wind. That's very common. I had one.
I'm sorry, I
Do
didn't
what?
mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I was talking about the cedar trees where they're so thick like that. When you get up underneath them, you can't see or feel anything. You're completely out of the wind because they're so thick.
Correct.
And so,
That's correct.
yeah, so thick and so dense. You're lucky if you find a coon in a cedar thicket.
Way back right after dirt was invented in the and God had created Bigfoot back in the late 90s. Vicky Fulcher, Dan and Vicky were up visiting me. It's when I lived down south of Hobo Station, Mississippi. Honest to God, that was the name of the place. And they were down visiting me, and I was tied up doing something. Well, they just went out walking around the edge of the pine woods back behind my house, and Vicky found this absolutely fantastic observation post back there that I didn't know was there, and it was right in the edge of the woods. And it was where in a bunch of young pines, low hanging limbs, and they had made them a blind back there like you couldn't believe. And they'd been using it for a long time because there were probably 8 inches of old pine limbs and stuff. Of course, you were at the top where they'd been laying in there, and as the pine limbs would get old and dried out, they'd go get them some more and put in there. But it was like it was a pretty good little place. You could have crawled up in there easy and camped out. But you could see my yard and you could see my neighbor's yard about 400 yards. It was almost halfway in between my yard and the neighbor's yard. And we were separated. It was about 200 yards to mine and about 200 yards to the neighbor's. And
I remember we had a cool cedar thicket on the side of a hill, and when it would drizzle rain, Kumbo, I would get in it. I would get in that thicket under the cover and catch deer and stuff coming in to get out of the rain. And so if I'm doing it, then they could be doing the same thing.
That led me to say,
Gary Spikes.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Gary Spikes just put up something that was true back when we got Gary back to Oklahoma when he was having he'd had some health issues, but anyway, we got him back to Oklahoma, and we stayed out there an extra couple of days because I had to get my truck worked on. And he's got a pet booger that he knows him pretty well and all. And he came up and watched us several times from off the backside of a pond dam that he's got right there. And he had a really good place set up where a bunch of weeds and stuff, and you could definitely get out of the wind blows mostly from the west and the south there. And the way that thing was set up, he was right out of the wind and had him a good place. Yeah, and that guy, he was there quite often while we were there. Hey, Jeffrey Arrington. But yeah, they love to watch us. We found out at the near the Chickasaw National Recreation Area in Oklahoma, we found a huge a tree out there where they'd shoved several big trees together, and a sentinel tree, we call it. We found a huge one down in a holler where they could sit up in it and watch what was going on in the campground. We're talking about this thing was up there where these 3 trees had been shoved in together. This thing's 30 something feet off the ground. But we fooled around. We got around where we could see. We got up on the hollow back behind it, where we could see right across the top of the sentinel tree, where the actual little hidey hole was up there, and you were looking perfectly down into the campground. And they'll go through quite a bit of work to make them some kind of a shelter or something where they can keep an eye on us. We're their favorite entertainment.
If you look at the overall line of the events that Peyton and Roger were talking about, Kumbo, I'll ask you, if you heard them tell the story, if you look at the overall thing of coming into an area that hadn't been hunted for a little while, hard to get into, people, a hard terrain to get into, so the average person's not coming up there. They start coming in, they see signs, they're getting, distant possible vocalizations, stuff being thrown, and then it escalates, but up to the point. My whole reason for doing this show and for trying to bring this to everybody's attention, up to the point Roger leaves a structure. Peyton goes back in, the structure is gone. It's not there. It's not in the vicinity. It's been removed. It's been taken out of there. Peyton goes back in a couple days later, and one's actually looking at him. So, that's what we're assuming. This is how it all happened. Does that lead you to think that if you start interacting with them, that they're more likely to communicate back or show up, give you a sign that they're there, do stuff? Because again, where I find structure, I often find tracks and get vocalizations, and I've seen some stuff, but does it sound like a process where the boogers, for whatever reason, go, okay, these guys know we're here, we might as well let them know that we know that they know?
They once they sort of check you out and figure out that you're not really a threat and that you haven't done anything, you haven't desecrated any of their stuff, they will accept you, and they'll still want to keep an eye on what you're doing, but they're not going to be all upset and bluff charging you and doing a lot of the more aggressive things that they'll do if they decide they don't like you for some reason. They'll
what if
sort of live and let live deal.
What if, like what happened to us on a different property on the north end, where we started finding signs and hearing things, and we went into gift that time, Peyton and I did, and all hell broke loose, and pacing and mumbling and throwing big boulders and picking up logs and slapping against trees. The end of the tree breaks and helicopters through, and then Peyton sees something behind us. We got a little one we caught on audio screaming, and that's a different group. Of course, there's plenty of miles in between. Now, after I said,
let me ask you this.
Okay,
were there other people that came and went on that property and hunted on that property?
Yes. We don't hunt that property.
Probably it was something, they did something stupid that got them turned against any of us that went in there. Now, if you'd have kept going back and done something to make sure that they knew that you were okay and that you weren't going to hurt them, then, they'd have probably, you'd have eventually been able to develop a more amicable, relationship with them.
Well, and I spoke out loud to them after I had enough. I was scared, and I finally just said, we're not here to hurt y'all. We don't want to be hurt either. We're just curious. And Peyton, you remember when I said that, there was one more tree break, one more sapling break. It sounded like a gun went off, and everything stopped. And since then, it hasn't been as bad with us, but that night
Mhm.
that thing jumped out and screamed at us. We had a different person there with us. Had a fire going. We'd been there about 3 hours, and it's, if I could imagine what a banshee might sound like, and then this is the same spot where I sent you that picture, and that anomaly in that picture favored the type 2. Would that be a different situation we're dealing with if it is possibly a type 2
Yeah,
rather than the
type
others?
twos. The type twos are a little bit more aggressive than the type ones. And if you had a hold of what I used to call a type 3, or the dog faced one, or the baboon headed ones, those are they're obviously a hominid. They've got plantigrade feet and everything, just like the other Bigfoot do. But they universally, whenever those guys come into an area, the regular Bigfoot leave, and they'll stay gone until. And those seem to be, in a lot of cases, the baboon-headed ones or snouted ones seem to be nomadic. They'll come into an area and hang around for anywhere from a year and a half to say 3, maybe 4 years, and then leave. And once they leave, the other boogers come back. The ones that were originally there, they'll come back, and I've documented that in several places. Our buddy Travis Day, and I think all y'all have met Travis at some time or other, and Travis had that happen to him on his property. And there's another lady, I'm not going to give her name, but she's been on here a lot in chat, and I've known her since back in the 90s, and her husband's family had a multi-generational relationship with the boogers that lived on their property, and they were quite well habituated. And she actually would make them pancakes every morning, and they would come up and give them pancakes. Now, I met her boogers before I ever knew her. So when I started hearing these stories and everything, I'm like, man, that sounds like the kind of crap that's been going on. And that these were the ones that I'd been running into up there in Iowa. I said, these things are way too friendly. And they'd come up, and it looked like it was probably the alpha female. She'd come up, and it was obvious she was trying to talk to us. And she'd always have a couple of little ones with her. And it was freaking, me and my research buddies up here, was freaking us out. And then lo and behold, I find out that this house right down the road, like 75, 80 yards away, is where this lady lived. And anyway,
they were looking for some Aunt Jemima from Kumbo.
I guess. Ain't you got me nut for New Year's?
Sorry, y'all.
You got any biscuits?
I actually got to witness her granddaughter talking to them, and that blew my mind. Absolutely. But what happened, to get back to the point of the story, is that she called me up all upset one day, and we lived probably 60, 70 miles apart, something like that. And she called me up and she told me what the matriarch of their little Bigfoot clan there that was on her husband's property had told them that there were some evil ones coming and they were going to have to go. And her granddaughter was even able to tell them, to find out from them where they were going to go. I know this all sounds way, way, way far-fetched.
Yes, it does.
And I had to be around it several times before I bought into it. And I had to witness it. I lived in Missouri then, so, the show me state, show me, I want to see this. But anyway, so her regular boogers quit showing up for a couple of days. And then she said she was sitting out there one day and that she was still making pancakes and setting them out, but nothing was getting them. And she said she had just brought some pancakes out and sat on the edge of her deck. And she said this one stepped out from behind a shed there behind her house. She said instantly she knew that it was not one of one of her regular boogers. She
Oh.
said it was slightly different color. She said the skin tone was different. She said the hair was different, and she said it had like a baboon-looking head, had big canines that she could see. But she said it came up to her. I mean, she was sitting up on the deck, but she said it walked up to the edge of the deck, and it sat there just sitting there looking at her, and ate all the pancakes, and then left. And she said a little while later, sometime later, it showed back up with a couple of more. Of course, there was nothing there to feed them then, and they seemed to get a little bit agitated, and they started messing with the door into her basement, and it actually tore open their basement door. And so they got out there they somehow ran them off. They got out there that afternoon and nailed heavy 3/4 inch plywood, like a couple of layers, and big heavy rough cut wood, planks and stuff across there. And they would come around messing with it. And she said one night, and in the meantime, her husband died. So she was there by herself. And after some number of days or whatever, and it wasn't a very long time, I don't think, but they came in there one night and they tore that makeshift door off. It was actually a lot stronger than the original door. Got into her basement and they busted up through the floor and trying to get in her house.
Wow.
That's what I was.
Yeah, and she abandoned the ship. She took off out of the house, running out of the house, jumped in a truck, took off with all she had on was the clothes on her back. She abandoned the house.
Was Damn Ricky involved in this, or was he telling me a different? Didn't he have something like pictures of where like boogers? I know this is off subject, but pictures of like where boogers had been under somebody's house and it kind of like dug out a little bit, and then they ended up busting through the floor to come up. Is this the same thing?
Yes, he's done that. I know. No, this is not the same incident. I know where you're talking about where Dan did that, and but I have personally seen this happen in 3 different places, and I've heard about it in other places, and I know one of the times it happened, it was a place that I used to live in, and I went back to it, and they had dug underneath it and busted up through the floor, and that's where I lost them. I didn't know back then what I know now. The only dog I've ever lost to a booger, it got my female German Shepherd I had at the time, and they got her and killed her, and they left about a little bit bigger than a baseball-sized chunk of meat with the hair and the hide still attached to it on my front porch.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my other 2 dogs had dug up under the house, and they didn't get to them then. I mean, they weren't able to get to them. But the type 1s are the patty type. To answer this question, just popped up. They look like Patty in the Patterson-Gimlin film. They're the bigger and bulkier. The males will be up around 10 feet tall, maybe bigger. The type 2s are more what I call the Neanderthal type. You can look in the book Them Plus Us, or Them and Us, and see what that guy says the Neanderthals really look like. Lose the spear and the vertical slit pupils, and you've pretty much got a type 2 booger. They don't have as big a sagittal crest. They're more round-headed. They don't weigh quite as much. They're big barrel-chested, but they're not as wide across the shoulders as the type 1s.
Wow, he's describing exactly what I saw in that picture, whether it was something there or not. That's crazy. I don't know if you remember that or not.
And I remember you sending me some pictures. I don't remember exactly what was
I know.
What the
You
booger
probably
looks
get-
like. But
Yeah, it's just like you're describing it. It looked like a round head,
Yeah.
kind of bug eyes,
right, they've got
a massive chest,
head,
massive chest,
yeah,
but
massive.
it wasn't as
Yeah.
tall. Yeah,
Yeah, and the males will be the alpha males will only be they'll be 8 to about 9 foot tall, and the females are way smaller than the female type ones. A lot of them will only be like 6, maybe 6.5 foot tall, and then they'll weigh down 350 to maybe 500 pounds or so. Yeah, I take a lot more better care of my dogs now than I did back then. I didn't know. I was uneducated and ignorant at the time, and I didn't know that. Well, I knew that they would get barking dogs, but I didn't know that they'd just sneak up and snatch one that was outside that they didn't know.
Hey, Carol, email us. I want to hear about that, please.
when we my cousin started a small newspaper back in the early 2000s, and he wanted me to help, so I set up a Facebook page, maybe 08, 09 ish, and so this Circle Ridge system I always talk about, we live on the south end, and I got to noticing it kind of turned into a lost and found community page, and people reporting missing animals, pets. And I started looking and not really putting dots on the map, but kind of, eyeballing it. I'm like, oh crap. Certain hollows, these dogs and cats and stuff going missing. Now we do have mountain lions, which they're new to the area in the past 30 years, but, Peyton and I have seen mountain lion kills, and
There's on the
Go ahead.
dog subject missing. You go to Lynchburg and you go to that store that's Woodard's right there, that old deli place.
yeah, where Jack Daniels is, y'all.
there's a board of missing dogs, and there's one person that's got 3 missing Great Pyrenees. And there ain't much that messes with a Great Pyrenees, so I don't know what took them, but they probably ain't coming, and they don't run away. So
I'll tell you something about Great Pyrenees. I have run across several Great Pyrenees that were running with the boogers, and the boogers would let them hang out for anywhere from 6 months to maybe a year and a half, and all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah,
You know,
till
they will-
winter.
They
Keeping them
try to
fresh.
develop a relationship with a dog. Yeah, they've tried to do that with my buddy Joe. Come here, Joe. Come here, boy.
Monkeys will
No.
do that though. I've seen that where monkeys will
But
take
I
these
have-
dogs in.
I have caught.
Yeah, yeah,
Come here. Come
You know
You're
what I'm
right.
talking
here,
about?
Joe.
yes. In
Yep.
India,
And they use them for everything, not just pets.
Mhm.
I'm just
There's-
saying.
There's Joe.
He's
There's our buddy.
100-pounder. He got one. He's only got one eye now. He had a tumor behind his other eye. But
he looks like Ruth, kind of.
Anyway,
Sweet.
I have
dog.
caught Joe with running around playing with juvenile boogers multiple times, and they're trying to befriend him. And a lot of times he'll take off, and you know where I'm talking about, Spencer, down there, and you know where too, Roger. When you're going to the back of the farm, you got to go through that little scope,
Yeah.
that deep draw down the woods. Joe goes off down in there and disappears. And I have to call him and call him and call him and call him. And that is a major booger thoroughfare right there. And I have caught him up here near the house 2 or 3 times playing with the juvies, the older juvies now. We're talking about the 6 to 7, 8, 7.5 footers. And I'll hear him out there. I can hear him out there playing. And I'll ease out whichever door where they can't hear me or see me very well. And I'll ease around, all of a sudden cut on the lights, and it's like a deer in the headlights or a freeze tag, where they're like this, and the boogers are standing there, and Joe's standing there wagging, and now Joe, get your butt over here, and the boogers they take off. But I know what they're doing. They're trying to get him. habituated or used to them being around, and all of a sudden it's going to be a bad cold winter day or early spring day where they ain't got nothing. There ain't no acorns on the ground. They've eaten all the deer and the stuff around, and well, there's Fat Joe. Let's have him for dinner. We'll invite him over for dinner.
Yeah.
I saw a picture after a show with some guests. They had just received it and they knew where it came from, and there was a beagle hound, and they were hunting the woods, and they heard the beagle hound. Something happened to him, and it was kind of booger woods. And when they got over there, they took a picture of the poor dog. It's gonna get graphic, y'all. But from the diaphragm would be where the right teeth, almost to the almost in front of the back leg, there was a bite taken out of this thing, like it picked it up and bit it, and the teeth marks were flat and they were about that wide. And it bit this dog and threw it down and left. And they heard it when it was killed, and it died pretty much instantly. There was no blood hardly. So, you talk about.
They drank blood.
Well, you've told me, I didn't get a good enough look to see if they had cut open the diaphragm, whatever, or anything like that. Like you were talking about, they do with their.
Well, if they're doing it when they're mad, if they just bite into the liver, that bleeds enough that they can get it all that way.
Yeah.
But, if they're just taking one big bite out of it, but if they're doing a larger animal like a calf or a deer or a horse or a pony or something like that, they'll do it the other way that I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've probably shown this before, but this was in my area. That I can't remember if that's the donkey or the mini horse, but can you see the wound at the front of the chest and see the wound at the back? Whenever they found it, it was, where's the other one? And there's the rear version. There was a hole all the way through from the front, the chest area, all the way through the back. There was a tunnel, like literally like something impaled it or something stuck its arm all the way through it. And none of the wildlife in the area would come near it. None of the wildlife in the area had predated on it.
I one day was walking. I was over on the back of the farm, and I think Peyton, you know where I'm talking about. I think you've been here on my farm before, haven't you?
No, not yet.
Oh, you haven't?
Daddy won't tell me when he goes, and I don't get invited. I call Daddy, I'm a Goomba. I'm like, I appreciate it.
Roger. That sounds correct.
No, but
anyway, Missy's been here, and Spencer and Roger's all been here. But back on the back of the farm where the sawmill used to be. I've showed y'all that little area is right before you go into the woods, back to the left, right before you go into the big woods. There's a little field right there, and it's where the sawmill used to be. Well, I was hunting out north of that, between there and the river, and I walked up on a line of 3 deer that had been killed by the boogers. Every single one of them were laying on their right side. Their legs were pointed east. Their heads were pointed south. Every single one of them had been opened up the same way, and they had torn through the skin right behind the diaphragm. Right behind the rib cage on the left side, and every one of them, the skin had been pulled back. The entrails were out on the ground, laying there right by the hooves of their rear legs. All of them had at least one of their rear legs broken. I found deer hair in the bark of the trees around. One of them, I found deer hair 11 feet up in the off the ground, embedded in the bark where they'd slung it and killed it, beaten it against the side of the tree. And every one of them, the out of the lower thoracic cavity, the bottom part or the rear part of their abdominal cavity, behind the diaphragm. The liver and the kidneys
I knew
were
it.
gone. Liver and the kidneys were gone. And then every one of them, you could tell they had taken like a fingernail or something. They got to realize their fingernails are huge compared to ours. And they're using them all the time, so they got a pretty sharp edge on them. Plus the immense strength. They could make a surgical cut with a 2x4. They got enough strength. But anyway, you could tell they had taken like a fingernail or something and started up by the spine, and then kept it up against where the diaphragm meets the rib cage, and they had slit that diaphragm open. And then they had reached in there and they'd pull the heart out. And when they pull the heart out, then all the blood goes into that cavity. In fact, that's probably the first thing that they did, was they slit that diaphragm open, reached in there and snatched the heart out. And then all the blood dumps into the upper thoracic cavity. In other words, the cavity where the heart and lungs are. And so they go ahead and they eat the heart while they're waiting on the blood pudding to congeal. And once the blood congeals, or maybe they were working on the liver. But anyway, all that blood is trapped in that upper thoracic cavity, and then they just reach in there and they drag out hands full of that clotted blood, and along with the lungs, and it's a big treat to them. Every single one of them was done that way. And occasionally you'll see where they've torn the tongue out also. And every once in a while you'll see where they'll somehow think they just stick their fingers in the eye sockets and rip back, but they rip off the top of the skull cap and they'll scrape out the brains and eat those. But I found that day in that one place, in a stretch about 20 feet long, there were 3 deer lined up in a line on their sides, had been done that way. And they were pretty fresh. And then about 150 yards from there, I found another one so fresh that it was still warm. And
you interrupted their meal.
Exactly. I actually took my pack off, set it on the ground, got my deer drag out, and I got this feeling, buddy, you tie a rope on that deer, and that'll be the last time you ever tie a rope on me.
You know what?
They were watching me, and if I'd have tried to take that deer, I wouldn't be here now. You'd be finding me back there on my right side.
Hold up. I have 2 things. Why were they all laying facing the same way? What's your theory on that? Why they were all facing the same way?
They got a system. I have seen that in multiple places, that every deer I've ever found that they've killed on this place, every single one of them has always been the head facing south, the legs pointed east.
Is it like a hill, so maybe the blood falls back into the...
No, most of them have been up on a ridge, on a saddle. They don't want the blood to run off. No,
that's what I'm saying. Like they keep the blood where it runs down off into the cavity, so that it'd be natural gravity flow kind of runs it back. Are they facing downhill? I don't know.
That's a good point.
I've never found one on a slope. They've all been on flat ground. Every single one of them that I can remember.
Kumbo, Peyton, I'm sorry.
No, I have found them. Most of the ones that I find, they've been there. Oh, that's another thing y'all said. I have never seen anything that the boogers killed that local other predators and scavengers touch. Possums won't touch them. Coons won't touch them. Buzzards won't touch them.
Well, I wanted to ask about that. I wanted to ask about that. Is it the radiation you think maybe that they put off a little bit of radiation, or you think it's just that they smell?
They've seen what happened to that last raccoon that tried to get off in that deer cavity.
Yeah.
Well, Kumbo didn't even tie a rope on the son of a gun, so he wouldn't touch it either.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, like a dog that's got a toy or whatever, or a dog's bed or, something different. If another animal smells it, they'll raise that hair up on their back and they're like, they know that there's something else there that don't smell right.
Well, if I pet somebody else's dog and come back home, man, I get the 3rd degree from
from head to toe.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I have to show this because don't start talking about this, Kumbo. What's Kumbo's take on Bigfoot possibly braiding horse manes? I've heard people say it's BF raping them. I don't believe it. My horse isn't traumatized when I find him with braids. All I'm going to say is that would fill up a show and a half on that subject alone.
There would be other indications.
Which knots right?
We can't do it at this time of the day. and with the audience that we have right now, no.
Well,
and
I can tell you a lot about that, but I can't right now.
Well, me and Peyton, I got a question and a statement. Me and Peyton got called to a place because a cow was killed. It had a chunk pulled out of its cheek. Its tail was ripped towards the head.
Oh man,
back was broke. Right. No reason for the back. I know. I'm just saying that. So then we go and we find a boneyard that had been years and years of animals piled up in this place. Now I want to ask Kumbo. We found some canine skulls split long ways, where like something may have cracked it open like a clam and maybe dug out the whatever.
Did you find leg bones?
We found everything. We found it. Yes, sir. Peyton said, y'all got any horses missing? No. But there was every type of animal you could think of, wild animal, domesticated, horse, cow, pig, and these people didn't have none of that. And we got called there because they had got screamed at it, and after they found the track, and the scream knocked him down, and the other guy started projectile vomiting immediately because it, hit in his ear. So I thought that was odd with the canine skulls being cracked open long ways. I mean, it didn't look like it was beaten with a rock either. It looked like it was just split open. So
I had a neighbor, I can't use his name because he's a relatively very well-known person in this part of the country, but he was my nearest neighbor in a place I lived, and his dogs kept going missing, and this place was eat up with boogers. And I told him what was going on, and he'd get a dog, and he had a really, really nice house, but he wouldn't let his dogs come in his house, and he was making them sleep outside. Well, he had a nice doghouse for them and everything in the carport. They wouldn't sleep there. They would always come around, and they knew where every single dog would find where his bedroom was and would sleep under his bedroom window. And then he'd hear the dogs barking at night and stuff like that and growling and all. Every one of them would disappear within a couple of months or so. And anyway, he had one that had disappeared, and his name was Yeller, and is a big yellow lab, and it was gone for almost a year. And we had a big deal at work where we had people came in from all the other factories that were part of our company, and every year we'd have a big business meeting, and we'd have it at a different plant every year, and it was our time to have it here. Anyway, the last day of the conference, they fed us all Subway sandwiches, and they brought in, I don't know what they were thinking, but they brought in enough to feed 3 times more than what we had. And so they piled all these leftover sandwiches up on a big metal platter. They gave them to me because I was single then. And so I took them home, and I ate off of them for a day or two. But, Subway sandwiches or any kind of sandwich gets soggy after 2 or 3 days. These were soggy. They were done. So I set them out on my front, just the whole big platter out on my front porch that night before I went to bed. Next morning, I get up, and lo and behold, I go out, that big platter that was stacked up, way high with sandwiches, it was totally empty. Right off to the side was a neatly stacked pile of tomato slices, and beside that, a neatly stacked pile of onion slices. But laying there on the platter was a nice, smooth, white, flat rock. And right there was not a rock within 5 miles in any direction I know. It was just sandy soil, sandy. And this rock, they had toted in there somewhere, but also right next to the dadgum thing was my neighbor's dog's skull.
Ugh.
And it was clean as a whistle. And obviously they'd had it sitting on top of a fire ant mound, and it was just spotlessly clean. But the way I knew it was a neighbor's dog, because something had hit him at one time, and his right upper canine had been broken off at a real weird angle. And it's almost made him look like when he'd smile his head, it made him look like somebody had been sharpening on that canine. So it was very unique looking. And I looked and I said, "Oh my God, that's Yeller's skull." So I caught the neighbor that afternoon when he came back from work, and I said, "Come over here, you're not going to believe this." And he came over, looked at it, and I said, "Look at that." And he said, "Oh, a dog skull, where'd that come from?" I said, "Well, just look at it closely." And he got on there and looked, he said, "That's Yeller's skull." And I said, "It sure is." And he said, "Where'd it come from?" And I told him what the deal was. And of course, he didn't believe me. He didn't believe in Bigfoot. And he, there's no way. Yeah. And I said, "Trust me." I said, "They got you. Every one of your dogs, they get them because you don't let them come in at night." And I said, they're out there barking and growling at the boogers. And I said, "They're watching us right now." "No, they're not." I said, "Yes, they are. You want to prove it?" "Yeah, I want to prove it." So I went in the house and got me a can of salmon. I said, "Let's go." Walked over to his house. It was one of those cans that had the little pull tab on it. And we got over there and went to his well house, which is right in his backyard. And I popped the lid off that thing and dumped that salmon out right up on top of his well house. And the well house roof was made out of tin, and it had a slight slope back towards the back of the well house. I said, "Come on, let's go up there and get up the hill there, and about 75, 80 feet from the well house up to his carport. Let's get up there and watch out your kitchen window and just watch it. You'll see it come get it." No. So we get up there and go in the kitchen. He goes up the window and he says, "Well, I guess it fell off. I guess it slid off the roof." I said, "Oh, it ain't gonna slide off the roof. Roof it's got hardly any pitch on it." He said, "Well, it's gone." And I said, "Here, let me see those binoculars." And he had a set of binoculars he kept up there. I looked down there and I said, it was gone. I said, "Let's go." So we went back down, and you could clearly see a big old greasy hand mark where it had just reached up there and drug it off. And there was even a few flakes of salmon on the ground right there. And that made a believer out of him.
Now, if I remember right, Tim, the dog skull you found, that dog had been missing for a while, hadn't he?
About a year. Yeah. About a year. Almost a year.
Did you ever hear him talk about the hubcap over at the hunt camp where it just kept?
Oh God, yes.
No,
here, Roger. Here you go. This is one for you. That's like your peanut butter jar thing. All right. I joined this hunting club when I'd been going down there hunting as a guest when I was 15, and when I turned 16 and started driving, I had to start paying dues. But it was the first year I was a dues paying member of the old Johnson Hunting Club. It's gone now, but the club's there, but another guy owns it. But anyway, and I'm not a member. So anyway, first year I was hunting down there, I didn't know the property, so I just go down in the holler right behind the camp house to the west of the camp house. I was going down there one day, and sitting on a stump was a really cool old Ford V8 hubcap. Back then, back in the 30s and 40s, Ford made hubcaps that they were chrome, but then they had a red 8, like this in the middle, and then a big V sort of over them as a V8. your vehicle had a V8 engine. I thought, man, that's cool. I'm gonna get that when I come back out of the woods. And I set up right on just got right across. It was sitting on top of a stump about 15, 20 feet from a little old creek that came through there. Well, I crossed the creek and I went about another 100 feet, about another 30, 40 yards. And I sat down on a rock, on a ledge. That thing was never out of my sight, or nothing could have gotten to it that I couldn't have seen, supposedly. And so I sat there till dark, no deer, no nothing, hardly any squirrels came around. That's another good clue. You ain't got squirrels that you should have. They boogers in the area. Anyway, I sat there and I mean, nothing moved. So got done, got dark. I said, well, I'll at least get me that hubcap. So I got there, turned my flashlight on, went over to the stump, hubcap's gone. Gone. I had an old climbing tree stand. Next day I go down there hunting again. And but I didn't use the tree stand. And I didn't use the tree stand then, but I was coming out that day and something caught my eye. And this is about 100 yards, 150 yards from where the stump had been with the hubcap on it the day before. And about 30, 40 feet up in this yellow poplar tree, hanging on a stub of a limb, there was that hubcap hanging up there. I said, son of a gun, how did somebody do that? Who put that up there? So, and I was coming in, for lunch. So after lunch, I got a dadgum. Actually, my old tree stand I had then, it wasn't safe to climb that high, especially on a slick bark tree like a yellow poplar. So we had this huge old extension ladder, about a 40-foot extension ladder. And I drug that sucker out of the barn and all down that hill and got down there. And when I got down there to that tree, I hadn't been gone 45 minutes. I got down there and looked up. Where is that damn thing? And I walked in. I found my tracks where I had walked up there to it. I said, I know this is the tree. Here's my tracks. And I had on some Browning hunting boots then, and I mean it was distinctive tracks. Sucker had come in there in the broad daylight, when I was only gone about 45 minutes, and got up that tree and got that hubcap down. I chased that hubcap around that stump for about 20 freaking years. It would disappear. But I could never, every time I'd find it, something would keep me from being able to get it right then. I made a decision, the next time I see that son of a gun, I'm getting it right then. It's going in my pack, my hunting pack. I would see it, it'd be some freaking place like over a bunch of tornado blowdown crap that I couldn't get to, or it'd be across the creek where I'd have to go up and around and come back, walk out to a road, cross the bridge, come back. I never could get that thing. And I saw that hubcap around that place for at least another 20 years off and on. Now, sometimes I'd go 2-3 years without seeing it, but I chased that thing for years. Like I said, 2 decades.
Do you think have you ever heard any instances where they might use something like that as a tool for like digging in a creek or whatever? Maybe it had claimed it.
Would surprise me. Well, they certainly, have toys and stuff.
Yeah.
I like to leave them. I leave them blue Hot Wheels cars. They love those things, or anything blue. They love blue, and they like Hot Wheels cars.
Don't we all? Kumbo, you gonna get me skint because I'm carrying a Hot Wheels next time I go in. And Peyton, if something gets me, you know who caused it.
Well, you
know what you do. What you do before you walk in that wood, you hold up. Hey, I got you a Hot Wheel car. If you mess with me, you ain't getting any more. If you leave me alone and run some deer by me, I'll bring you some more Hot Wheels.
Help me out.
What's funny is you listen to some of this stuff. I was just sitting there listening to Kumbo go back over the hubcap story again, which I've heard before. But when you listen to this, you're like, these people talk about this stuff so easily. It's crazy. It can't be real. It can't make sense. And all I would say is that when I first got in this, because I was watching the old Bigfoot Outlaws videos, I was like, there ain't no way that some of this shit is like they say. Then I went out with the Outlaws, and holy crap, that's whenever stuff or like Kumbo. I've told it before, but going over to Kumbo's place where I almost had to kill a squirrel because he gave her the rock first. But whenever he got out of the vehicle and said, hey, should we let him know we're here? And did a yell, and that one yelled back, and there was, what, 10 of us, 12 of us standing there? And that thing yelled back, had to be 40, 50 yards away, if that.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I
what he's
took the
telling
Flash
you.
of Beauty folks up there. Do what
Yeah.
now?
No, what'd you say about the Flash of Beauty folks?
I took the Flash of Beauty folks up there, and we've been standing around for a while, and I made a call, and now the answer we got was from about 3 or 4 ridges to the west. But if you turn that part up, turn it up loud, and you got decent speakers, you can hear them. There's some just right over the hill down there, samurai talking. You can hear them. and you can, there's one place you can hear them clacking a couple of rocks. But now there's one in there where it's a bunch of, no, that was some guys working on a dock over across the slough. But yeah, you can hear them in the background. And in fact, they threw a rock up there while we were out there talking. And you can hear it. You can hear it hit a couple of limbs and hear, rolls past us.
I remember they aired that part, didn't they? You were talking, and all of a sudden you stopped and looked. Yeah, it came from the left side. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah. It's that they're not. Thank you, David. They're not. If you get a good relationship with them, and that doesn't mean feeding them and a bunch of stuff like that. That means just showing them respect.
Yeah.
And don't be out there running the tractor or riding a lawnmower, after dark.
Hey,
right at dusk and dark is when they do their most communication amongst. That's when the matriarch of the troop tells them where they're going to go that night to eat. That's why they get mad if you make a bunch of racket out there right at dark. That's how come farmers disappear off their tractors and stuff like that. And
that's why we do calls at certain times of night to give them time to go ahead and do their thing. Hey, Kumbo, tell them the story. Tell them the story. I got to go let the dogs out. Tell them the story real quick about what happens if you're not respectful and you and a bunch of your people happen to use the bathroom on some tree structure and stuff right around there.
Oh crap.
You ain't got any of those pictures. I wish I could figure out I got some of those pictures on this computer, but I don't know how to get them off the computer and onto your thing here. But we had this is down in a certain management area along a certain multi-state waterway to the southwest of here. I'll say that. And anyway, there was a deal in the newspaper down in Boonville, Mississippi, that we were at work one morning. We were reading the paper, and at break, and there was a story in there about some turkey hunters right at the beginning of turkey season, spring turkey season. Some turkey hunters got run out of the woods by a Bigfoot, is what it said. And of course, everybody was laughing about it, and I noticed one of the names down there was similar to the name. It had the same last name and a similar first name to a fellow that worked for me. And I said, hey, I said, you any kin to this guy here? And he said, yeah, that's my brother. And I said, really? And I said, well, has he told you anything about this? He said, oh yeah. And I said, well, what do you think? He says, I think they were in some place they weren't supposed to be. And I said, well, do you believe in them? He says, oh yeah. And he said that he had gone out to help a buddy of his fix a planter or something on a tractor that had broken down while he was out there after dark trying to get a field planted. And he said there was one came out there and yelled and screamed at him and threw crap at him and stuff like that. And he said, well, where did this exactly happen? Well, he told me exactly how to get into this place where his brother and two of his buddies got run out of the woods. So I went down there that afternoon after work, and we got off work at 3:30, and so I had plenty of time to get down there. It wasn't, and gosh, as a crow flies, it wasn't 5 miles from my house. So I got down there and went into this place. Me and my dog, and I swung by the house and picked up my big old German Shepherd bow. And so we're off down there, and we find the trail going back through the woods, and where his brother and them had got run off, and they had stuck bright eyes, which is like a thumbtack with reflective tape on the head. They'd stuck these bright eyes in the trees, marking the trail back into the woods. And so we went walking back there a little ways and thought, this ain't a real good place. Getting late in the afternoon, dusky dark, for me to be down here, first time ever in that area, and I was totally by myself, and I was unarmed, which is a stupid thing to do. And anyway, so I came back out, and right ahead of a little bit of about another 35, 40 yards from where their trail went into the woods, there was a gate across the road. This being a management area is a pipe gate. So, and I noticed there was a not very well traveled, but there was a road bed that turned south there. Oh, hey, good looking dog here. And anyway, turned south, which sort of paralleled the turkey hunters road. So off, Bo and I go down that road, and we're walking along, and we got in there. We started finding. We kept looking back to the left towards the turkey hunters trail. Man, we saw some good blinds and some bows and tree breaks and stuff back in there. So we walked back in there, and I took some pictures of them. I've still got a bow sitting there next to a big bow, and hadn't been back in there very long. And all of a sudden, I hear a chain. I hear the chain jiggling on that gate back up there. I thought, well, what in the world was that? Here comes a game warden. What are you doing back here? I said, I'm scouting for turkeys. It's turkey season. And I said, I didn't have time to, get all dressed up. I'm just scouting for turkey. You're not supposed to be back here. I said, well, it's open for turkey season. And I parked in the parking place up there. He said, you need to get your rear end out of here right now. I said, why? I said, I've got a license. He says, get your rear end going right now, or I'm going to put the cuffs on you. I'm going to arrest you for resisting a legitimate order of a law enforcement officer or something like that. He was a game warden. So I left. So came back that weekend with my son and 3 Bigfoot researchers from Georgia. And we go back in there, and by then, when we come back this time, where the turkey hunter trail went into the woods, there were trees broken down across the trail all the way down through there.
Of course.
And these weren't anything that a human or a group of humans could do. And they were broken off and twisted. And we're talking about trees like this big around. And, some smaller, but average about like this, about 5 inches in diameter. There were no marks on them where anybody put a chain on them or had cut them or sawed on them or chainsawed them or anything. You could tell they'd just been broken off and snapped down from either side across this trail. We thought, that's interesting. And also, before we got to the parking lot, there were these 3 big hardwood trees, anywhere from about 8 inches up to about 11, 12 inches in diameter, snapped off up above the ground, 6 to 8 feet above the ground, and thrown down across the road going to the parking area. And we're like, oh my goodness, somebody was pissed off. And we looked at those real carefully. There were no marks on them whatsoever that were done by a man. And if you'd have gone up into the top of them and hooked a chain on and got down there with a bulldozer, you would have pulled the root ball up out of the ground. You couldn't have done this with any man-made contrivance that you could have gotten down there in that length of time. You would have had to build something with a fulcrum to break it against. And I took good pictures of the bark. We got all up and looked at it good. And I took pictures of my son standing there by the thing so people can get an idea how tall they were.
So do you think it was a rogue one, or somebody had been messing with a family unit and maybe they were in there doing something, I won't say it, but the G word was in there trying to get them out of there or something maybe, and had some of them stirred up? Or
I don't know. But what we did, the boogers were obviously very agitated about something. And so we decided, let's see what we do, because we have had a couple of times in another place where we'd had a pretty strong reaction when we sort of desecrated something that they had done. So the five of us, all five of us guys, plus my dog Bo, he gave his contribution too. We all five, we took the biggest tree and the big base of the tree that was sticking up, about 7.5 feet up, still standing, and then the part that was thrown down across the road. We peed on all of them. We peed on the trunk of the tree that was still standing there, and we peed on the tree that was laying on the ground. And we left. This was on a Wednesday. This was on a Saturday afternoon. We left. I didn't get to come down there Sunday, and I didn't get to come Monday, or maybe I did come Monday. And I drove down there, and I got close. I got right there at it, and the tree trunk that was still sticking out of the ground was torn all to shreds, and the rest of the tree that was laying on the ground had been ripped apart, just big chunks of it torn out. And my hair started standing up, and I got this feeling, and anybody that's been researching this very long, you know what I'm talking about. You get this feeling, get your ass out of there now, immediately.
When he says torn all to shreds, he has pictures of this. I've seen the pictures.
Oh yeah,
it looks it looks like a grenade was put in the tree, and it exploded like fibrous everywhere, like completely demolished.
Yeah. I spun my truck around in the road and got out of there. All right. I couldn't get anybody to come until Wednesday of the next week, another researcher. I was not going to go back down there by myself, because I just got this overwhelming sense that I was fixing to be shredded like that tree trunk if I didn't get out of there. Something was mad, real mad. And I got my butt out of there, and like I said, this was like Monday or Tuesday of after the tree got torn up, and after the tree was first broke off. And I wasn't able to get down there until Wednesday night of the next week. And it was after dark when we got back down there. And like I said, when I first discovered this, I was scared to even stay there long enough to take a picture. And yeah, I opened up an extra large, super fast acting can of Gone. And I was scared to even stay down there long enough to take a picture. with my phone the first time I was down there. So we go down there a week and a few days later, and we go down there, and I had some guys with me, and it was after dark, and I've got, it's 2 or 3 good pictures of what that tree, what they had done to that tree, and it's absolutely incredible. I mean, it's like Spencer said, it's actually more like somebody had drilled a hole down through it and put some dynamite down in there and blown it apart. But you can actually see tooth marks and fingernail marks on it.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
You telling this story, Peyton, you remember, was this before or after we had the 15 or 20-minute incident of the rock throwing and all that stuff? We walked in, there's a cut through, you can go back to a pond, you could drive a truck if you need to. And we went in, I was there the day before, a couple of days before, and there was no storms, nothing. And there were trees pushed over in every different direction, blocking that entrance. And like, when the wind comes through, we all know they lay over one way or whatever, but it didn't look natural. And they were broken, like, half dead trees or whatever, but they were broken and they were laying every way you could think of. And we were having to step over them. The last time we walked in, we didn't have to step over anything. So could that have been a warning to us, like to stay out, or, we done made them? I
don't know. They do that. They do that here all the time. As a matter of fact, out there where we stayed, where you were here, when we camped out there in October, weekend of the 24th, the road stayed open all week while we were out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back like 3 days after we all left, and I found one small tree pushed down into the road. And I got with the tractor and I shoved it back in the woods. I waited a week or two and went back out there, and I found another one laying in the road, and I just ran over it with a truck. All right, I went back there Friday evening to check on everything because Greg's trailer is sitting back there, and there were 7 or 8 trees pushed down out into the road. 7 or 8. Now none of them were very big. They were something that Juvies could have done.
Yeah,
probably too much for us to do. But there were 7 or 8 trees pushed down the road, and when I finally got back out there to where we camped, there was 5 or 6 boogers sitting down there, and had them a fire going, and had Greg's big stew pot out there, and they had been having a big time. They wanted me to bring them some PBR, and they said they'd trade some white rocks.
That's what everybody's going to focus on. You know what I heard on a YouTube show?
You know what I heard him say?
No, I'm just kidding about that. They hadn't touched anything back there. They hadn't touched the wood trailer or anything. But no kidding, there were 6 or 7 or 8. There were 7 or 8 trees down across out in the road.
It should be pointed out though that you had a bunch of people back there for your birthday thing that the boogers weren't used to, and then next thing you know, you had a bunch of trees across the trail. What were you going to say, Squirrel?
That's what I wanted to ask him about. If after we all left, if there was anything crazy that went on, because we weren't quiet while we were there. You know what I mean? We literally went in and was just wide open the whole weekend.
You're never quiet.
I did find some glyphs on the ground, and it took me quite a while because there was multiple ones of them. And
I left
finally
some stuff
figured
there.
out.
That's why I was asking.
What I found after I figured it out, it said, "We love."
Yeah. What?
You see, if you hadn't been running your mouth, no. I said the glyphs on the ground said, "We love squirrel."
Yeah, see?
Not about you.
They probably do. I left them some good stuff and some butter bars.
Well, I think it was Squirrel. It was me and Squirrel and Mary, Fabian. We had a couple things kind of tossed our way. We thought at one point off of that right side, that was right before dark.
What's his name? Peyton, what's your dog's name?
This is Ruth. She's my
Hi,
female.
Ruth.
She's probably about 75, 80 pounds. And then my male is too scared to come upstairs. So he's not going to make an appearance. He's not good with elevated
met him.
surfaces.
Joe,
Yeah, you
I
see
think
him.
whoever owned Joe, Joe, we found him. He had escaped out of an escape-proof kennel at the Humane Society. Whoever had owned him before us you can't even get him to put his feet up on your lap. That's how come I had to take my camera and stick it down there where you see him. Niffy,
Kumbo,
come here.
Kumbo,
Come
Kumbo met the other one. You remember
Yeah, the red one.
with the no tail, Kumbo, at the LBL?
Yeah, I do remember. I
Yeah,
do remember him. This is
that big old lump.
That's
He's
Nicky.
scared to come up the stairs.
Hi, baby.
That's my buddy there.
Hey,
I got him in trouble. I let him up on the couch, and Sandy about kicked my butt.
Steve Smith. That's Niffy, y'all. Steve Smith. If you will go back and watch the video that we alluded to earlier from a little over a year ago called Bigfoot Do's and Don'ts, we talk about that attack and a couple others in detail.
Hey guys, I gotta go. I got a grocery order. I gotta go get.
We all gotta go. We've been on here over 2 hours.
No. I want to hear what he said about the
I got
glyphs
some
now.
prim-
I want to hear what he found.
Well, y'all
About who?
don't have to.
Oh, I
Even because
did.
of me.
Thank you,
After we
Peyton.
left,
Oh yeah, glad y'all got to talk to me.
I put some glyphs up there.
I'll
I
see
haven't
y'all.
told anybody this.
See you, Peyton.
You put some
I
glyphs
took,
up there. Bye, Peyton.
I put some glyphs up there, just south of where we had the fire pit.
Yeah.
Where we had
Afterwards?
where this is afterward. Yeah, I didn't. This wasn't until like a week or so later. I went up there and put a few glyphs up there, but it was where Sandy had already had. She'd raked everything back and blown it off with a leaf blower and everything, so the ground was pretty clean. So I put a couple of 3 glyphs up there, and I put one I call the TV antenna glyph, which is the vertical with the forward this way. I put one of those. I put one of those that the cross pieces were arranged somewhat differently, and then I put one of the triangle ones that anyway, it's got ears on it. Okay, all right. And then I put another one, and went back, and 3 of the 4 were gone.
Gone?
And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Gone. As if not there. And I walked around, I couldn't even find sticks that were the right size to have been part of one of them. It wasn't that they had just come up there and kicked them and messed them up. They were gone. So I don't know and I had gone back to another place, and you went with me. I know you were there, Spencer. There was 2 or 3 others there. There were several others that were a place we went, and I left a glyph back over there. You remember where I showed you where the big old arch over the road is?
Yep.
The big hickory tree that's been bent down over the road. Up high, you drive underneath it.
Nursery area.
No, this is after. Where we found the dogs in the field?
Yes.
Go on past that and then take a right.
Oh,
Go back
okay.
in there.
Yes. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
See,
I left a couple of glyphs back there. Okay. Anyway, I left a couple of glyphs back there, and they were gone also.
Oh, wow.
I mean, gone, obliterated. And I could actually tell because those I just laid on top of the leaves, and those I could tell the leaves were disturbed where they had been.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know,
Patrick Noble said I was there with you.
Yeah. Yeah, Patrick was there. But they haven't been up here, tearing the hole in the side of the house or anything like that, or, they haven't done anything that was, indicated they were mad or anything like that. But,
Good.
I think he was just proud that, Spencer gave him a little bit of worldwide airtime,
Yeah,
your video.
that's what it is.
How long has it been since you showed that? You know, where you had a very fortuitous chance to redeem yourself.
It's what does that mean? It's been a while. I don't have it on the computer. I have it on my phone. I'd have to show it separately. Well,
I'll tell you what, when you get that thing on,
do what?
when you get that thing on a good quality screen, you know, and where you can see it on a big monitor, there's a lot of detail in there that you don't notice on the phone version, you know, on the phone screen. But
I had to blow it up.
Yeah.
I had to zoom in on it, and I was looking at it on the TV. I connected my phone to the TV, so then I'm looking at a 50-some inch version of it. And I will say that the part where it's not one of them, it's two of them that stand up and get up on the branches above it.
Right. Right.
I have no explanation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my video, so I can't claim.
I think I know what you're talking about and what you're talking about. I was surprised when Tim, you pointed that out when Heather and I were riding with you the first trip down. You're talking about the tree. Yeah. I was surprised how close the tree was to the road, to the access.
Yeah, and those are some big limbs.
Yes, sir.
I mean, those limbs, those things are ginormous limbs. I mean, those limbs are 2.5 feet in diameter, even way up there where they were. So it gives you pretty good scale.
A different perspective seeing it, you know.
Hold on. Yeah. Look, for everybody, there's some stuff that you don't necessarily share publicly on like a YouTube video. We're going to have a meet and greet. You can come meet everybody, and we can talk about some stuff that we don't necessarily say publicly and can give some hints about that. You meet Kumbo. Go like talk to Kumbo, talk to Roger, talk to Squirrel, talk to anybody. There's a bunch of stuff in this thing, in this subject, that you just don't randomly put out there in YouTube land. And the reason for that is really, in all honesty, it's just safety. It's because you might not believe this, but it's like the shofar thing. The reason why we don't talk about it and the reason why we don't go into detail, and nobody should be messing with it if you don't know what you're doing, is because it's uncontrollable. Even a Kumbo, who's like a legend in this field, he doesn't know 100% what he's saying to him or how it works the way it does.
I have no idea. And I've got over a decade of hard research into this, and myself and another guy. I mean, between the two of us, we've got probably over 20 years of research invested in these. Probably, I've got to say we got at least 25 years of research invested in the shofar thing, and when I finally got where I could do the correct things with it, the results scared me. I mean, it works, but you don't know what you're doing. And I got to digging into scriptures more, and I found some things that I hadn't found earlier, and realized that I was dabbling in an area that was reserved for the angels. And and that shofar is going to be used for a couple of different things, and one of them is not good. So shofar ain't coming.
Breaking seals.
It's shofar gone. Do what?
Nothing. I said break. You know. But anyway.
And you know,
this old fat boy ain't gonna be blowing a shofar anymore. No,
and y'all hear Spencer say that, and you hear Kumbo saying that. But as I've gotten more into this, you feel a responsibility for I don't want to say anything, share information that gets somebody hurt. I mean, I've screwed up enough as it is, but that was me. That was on me. I would hate to say something where somebody in South Carolina goes and tries something that I'm joking about. And
as we started out the show, because really the show is based around like you and Peyton being up there and the stuff
look what Pyro put up.
What? Shut up, Pyro.
We'll find Spencer torn to pieces, but he'll still have that rock in a death grip.
Hey, in the glyph that I was putting out with peanut butter, after it stopped moving, I mean, this went on for like a year where it kept moving. After it stopped moving, I mean, there was like 3-4 months. I was like, nothing is happening. What I do wrong? It just stopped. Like the peanut butter wasn't being taken or anything. It just stopped. I put out the booger rock that Kumo gave me. I set it out. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I put the booger.
And they left it.
Yeah.
They didn't take it. They did take it.
No, they did not. I think they got so annoyed with me. They're like, this guy is a freaking idiot. So they just left and went on somewhere else. I still have the booger rock though.
You bought Sam's Choice peanut butter and pissed them off.
No, Kroger brand. It was Kroger brand.
Yeah, Geoff Crunchy.
Well, let me ask you this: you didn't commit the
GMO shit.
You didn't commit the cardinal sin. Well, now you're still alive, so you didn't. So obviously, you didn't put out any smooth.
What?
They like the crunchy.
No, I put the chunky out. But guys, going back to how we started this whole thing, think about. Look, we've been on here 2.5 hours. Think about what Roger did. Roger did something different, and he made a glyph of his own. Kumbo just reiterated that he made it. Well, Roger made an asterisk, but you know, it's all communication to them. And look at what happened at Kumbo's place. They were gone. Roger made the asterisk. Next thing you know, Peyton's seeing eye shine, and the thing is there. And like that comment about like share the inside detail stuff. People that have been doing this stuff, I've only been doing this for 10 years. People that have been doing this stuff for 30, 40 years, they still experiment and they can still make mistakes and they still don't really know 100% like exactly what they're saying to them or what's going to happen and all that kind of stuff. If you believe in this subject, you have to understand that it's kind of like a guessing game and you're testing theories and hypotheses and you're not 100% sure what's going to happen. And you have to be careful with this kind of stuff. And you can't just put it all out there on YouTube. But what you can do is you can get to know the people and come like see what they're talking about and experience it on your own.
And you'll see all kinds of pictures and stuff too. Hear stories and see pictures and all kinds of stuff that's going on the shows. It's just people have to be careful what they put out because other people will steal their stuff.
You'll see pictures and videos that you cannot find on the internet. People will have it on their phone, and once they get to trust you, they'll be like, okay, look at what I got. And first time I saw that, it blew my mind because there are people out there with really, really good stuff that is very impressive.
Yeah.
And one thing, it takes a long time to build trust. And if you do not honor that trust, then you can. One thing, you've let somebody down, and for another thing, you've just proved that you ain't no good.
And what about this, y'all? What about the other side of this, where once we, of course, the ones have been lucky enough to see one or many, and then you go with groups and you learn things, and you have them in an area that you frequent, just like Greg says all the time. Don't come down here hooping and hollering and screaming and leave me with them.
Right.
But you also, this is going to sound crazy, and I never expected this. You also feel, I've gone through this scenario in my mind. What if this happened? What if that happens? And if I get a clear video and amazing video, I've thought about it. What if you put that out there and they get eradicated? You know, what if something idiots come? So you feel a certain connection, and you don't want them to be harmed either.
Roger, I've thought about that a lot.
What if you found a body?
All you guys, you three have seen my picture of the one that belly crawled up to the edge of our camp down there at Chehaw State Park.
Yep.
And I didn't take the picture, so the picture got out there and online. And the next thing we know, they've closed the campground's closed. And you know, that kind of stuff happens. There was a place where Mike McLean had found a place down south of here, and well, it's 150 miles from here. But we went in there and did some research, and I don't know who talked about it or whatever, or somebody talked about it and then showed some pictures or some videos or something. Next thing we know, we go down there and there's a big gate and chain, you know, across the road. And then right after that, they came in there and they clear cut the place. I mean, that's happened to us numbers of times, places that we've researched, and you know, one of the times it's purely our fault. We told where we went, and this was 20 something years ago, and in fact, it was over 25 years ago, and we told about it, and they came in and gated that place off and clear cut it, and
just think about it. What would be the best way for you to find them? Watch shows like ours, or join the Bigfoot groups where people share all their locations and stuff like that. I mean, that, you know,
how many people have had their computers wiped blank and all that? There's no doubt that they're paying attention to the people that actually know what they're talking about.
Lord, yeah.
There's no getting around that.
And so, to y'all's point, there, people in chat, people that listen to this, that's a big reason too why you don't give locations or whatever is because of that too. It's not keeping it from you guys, because don't be naive and think we ain't on some list. If you're doing this right here, and Kumbo's probably been on lists for 40 years, but
Kumbo worked for the government. So the government is literally like, this asshole, he knows all this kind of stuff. There he is going out on YouTube and telling us he knows better.
Well, there was an article that was written by another government employee about these things and how they had classified a bunch of them. And I came across it and made me a copy of it and started going through the taxonomy. And I mean, I spent some good time on this. I'm talking about, I thoroughly picked that document apart and studied a bunch of if you look up what the taxonomy is, that's studying how they get all the Latin names and everything.
Yes.
I went through all of that and verified that, hey, this is exactly correct. And the descriptions that he had in there of some of the different types of hominids, and I knew about all of them except for two or three. I had one of the two or three, I had some reports about it, but I had never seen the actual evidence of it. I had not had a chance to get over there where these particular ones supposedly are and actually see physical sign. The other two, I had never heard any reports that I could decipher and determine that thing they're describing here is what's in this document over here. I never was able to make those connections on two of them. But all but two, I was able to verify. And and I made the mistake of asking somebody if they had seen this document. And they said, "Oh, no, I hadn't." And I said, "Well, here's a link. Here's how you get to it." The next time I wanted to get a copy of the raw document, gone.
Hey, Ted, that is
Yep.
100%
I shot
a
myself
real.
in the foot.
That is 100% a real thing, Ted.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, that is correct. I've been there. I've talked to the people. That's absolutely 100% true.
Well, I've talked to Dan Ricky in person, and what he saw about that, and he's told me, he showed me some things. I know it's real. There's other people that saw it too, though.
Well, and it shouldn't surprise us because, like, even with the Las Vegas shooting, I mean, there's no more cameras than Vegas. Everywhere, on everything. And when that tragedy happened, we never got to see any of that.
Squirrel.
So they're not going to show you something like that.
Right. What you're talking about there, VRACs, there's, based on my experience, what happened with me with the shofar, you got good ones and you got bad ones. You got some out there that the shofar is going to be used to call them up to turn them loose on us, and then you got some that the shofar, somebody else is going to use the shofar to call them up to turning them loose on the people that need to be turned loose on. And the thing about it is,
damn.
The thing about it is, I was not able to figure out. I know who is going to do some of it, but I don't know how to differentiate between the two as far as how you use it for calling the ones you don't want to call up, and how to use it to call the ones that you do want to call up when the time is right. That's all I got to say about that. That's why I decided that the best thing for me to do is leave that stuff alone.
Well,
leave it alone.
It's whenever you get into certain areas, I mean, I guess it depends on your religious views, your moral scruples, and all of this kind of stuff. But I truly believe that there's things we're not meant to mess with. I mean, God has a will, and God says, leave these things alone. Look at the story of first book of Enoch with the Watchers, and they come down and they give information to humans that humans were not ready for. God wipes out the planet with a great flood. You can think about it whatever you want, but there's certain things that I really don't think you should be messing with. You don't have the ability to control it. You don't know the power behind it or the way that it works. Just some stuff is not for us, not in this life.
And we say we feel bad because we don't understand things, and I've had that same thought. Maybe we're not meant to understand it yet.
Well, I mean, it's natural for us to be curious about it and look into it.
Yeah. Well, it clearly says in the Bible and in numbers of places that there are things out there that we are not meant to understand, and we're not capable of understanding. But
yeah.
Eventually our time will come.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Now, don't you be bad mouthing white sauce.
Kumbo, he's just right on that.
I'm from Tennessee, and I have to say Alabama white sauce is the stuff on chicken.
I have to say that your opinion does not count. Okay. It's my channel. I'll just hit click and remove you. Be quiet.
Is that how I get kicked off? Can I get out of here? White sauce, white sauce, white
sauce.
Oh,
like you're trying to get out of here, Mr. I'll run an 8-hour marathon.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know one of the things Pyro says is render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto God what is God's.
Yes. Yeah, but he was. Yeah, I don't think he was necessarily talking about.
Yeah. Right.
This part of it,
but.
I don't know.
Well, I
could or couldn't.
Okay.
It just depends. That's one of those ones you got to see it to know.
Yeah.
And know
We
what you're
found
looking for. I mean,
you remember me talking about the boneyard? We were I was looking at how something could get in and out of that corner of that field, pretty much unseen or whatever. So I found a trail.
Careful, Pyro. That can be taken different ways.
So I found a trail down the fence line. It was real
Greg
thick.
said you some spotted dick too.
I know. Yeah. Here we go. Oh man. So
Carry
anyway,
on.
No.
Carry on.
I want to tell Kumbo and y'all this. So I'm walking down through there, and there's a trail.
I didn't kill Kumbo.
He took off.
This is why the show only goes 2 hours, because after 2 hours we get to this point.
I have to say, I didn't know that stuff existed. I ordered some, and it's actually pretty good. So I didn't put white sauce on it. But anyway, you talking about the trees. I thought of this earlier. We were walking down this trail. It was a clear game trail, but there was a big oak tree, a huge oak tree, probably 4 or 5 foot from the fence. And something had taken a sapling and broke it down and blocked that trail. And I showed Peyton, I said, this is a perfect ambush point right here, because that tree was big enough for something to hide behind. But talking to people, I wouldn't have noticed that necessarily. And it may not be, but with all the other evidence that was there, we found tracks. We found fresh tracks that day in the creek. So
if you find tracks and stick structure markers in the same area, you've got a 50% or better chance of something being right there. I mean, that's just.
I just Googled.
Oh, you're welcome, Verax.
I just Googled what Verax means.
What does Verax mean?
The truth.
The truth.
The truth.
Okay, cool.
That's cool.
Niffy.
Hi, Niffy.
Who?
Somebody's on the naughty. You know who it is? It's Misty.
Sorry about that. Who?
So, what?
I think I need to let her out. Come on.
Seen them lead them off of a road to another that points to the lake. That's interesting.
So just for example, when Peyton and I were setting up his a blind for his bow hunting, when he was cutting down trees, I was pointing to. He carried his sawzall, and I told him, I said, take those trees, and we funneled where one of the main trails come in, and we took those trees and made a funnel to his to where the deer wouldn't go behind him. He said, will that work? I said, yes, it'll work. They'll go just like water.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if, we do that, we funnel animals. So
if you ever really listen to, well, I've actually gotten to message back and forth Michael Humphreys quite a bit over the past few years. If you listen to the siege of Honubby, he gives a lot of detail about boogers being ambush predators, and there's a ton of other people that have talked about this too, but I don't think it's a stretch in any way, shape, or form that they definitely put stuff across game trail. I've talked to a lot of people that have said this, where they funnel animals off of a direct route on a game trail to lead them over into an area where it's easier for them to grab them, snatch them. But I definitely think they're ambush predators, and they grab stuff from behind trees or behind blinds.
And with some of the intelligence, from the stories we've heard, I mean, that's it. Well, even some of the stories y'all told about primates earlier doing certain things, about the monkeys and the dogs and all this. Why is it such a stretch to think of something that's intelligent wouldn't be doing what something in the zoo's already doing anyway? You know, like, you know, using tools.
Well,
you know,
I mean,
I don't know. People just get this. It's like they have a mindset they're going to reject whatever you tell them anyway. So,
well, if they watch us and they're curious about us, you got to figure they're going to be just like a kid or whatever. My dog watches my older dog, especially when he first came here, and would pick up habits that she does. So why wouldn't they do the same thing, like picking up a rock and breaking it and using the slate or obsidian or whatever as a knife, or whatever, rocks grinding together? I mean,
yep,
I can see that 100%.
Well, so it's just like Heather and I was walking one day and we heard two clear rocks, small rocks. You can tell the difference, small rocks clacking, and she's like, "What's doing that?" I'm like, it could only be a person or something with a thumbs or two thumbs, right? So I don't know what it meant unless it was like, "Hey, they're here, y'all. Be careful." Maybe. I mean, but she heard it before I did.
Kumbo, before you get off here, you've got to go through and individually thank every single person that says, "Thank you for being on here, Kumbo. You made my Christmas." You got to send them Christmas cards. You better get on it.
Booger rocks for everybody. You get a booger rock. You get a booger rock.
I should have. I told everybody don't bring me no Christmas presents, and I mean any birthday presents. And now I can't even remember. I got so many I can't remember who gave me what. I've been wanting to send thank you cards, but it's embarrassing, But do a barred owl for you. All right.
Oh,
woo, 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 woo.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Peyton can he can do a lot of different calls with his his voice, and at work, turkeys will come up or something will come up, and he'll make a noise. Let me tell you a quick funny story. So he's working at Jack Daniels, and he's inside these barrel houses, and he's working for a different company. Well, he was in the barrel house by himself, and he was up on about the third floor, and he started doing some kind of animal call, and the main guy in that area come running in there, was going to kill whatever it was. And he's like, "Man, did you hear that?" He said, What did you hear?" He said, "There's like a barred owl or something." He said, "No, it was me." He said, "Bull crap." And he did it. So he messes with people all the time like that. But Kumbo, we'd heard about this before, but he did a barred owl call in the clear daylight one day, and it was like the answer back was like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." It was horrible, and he snapped around. He knows what they're supposed to sound like. He looked at me. He said, "What?" I'm like, "I don't know, but it's on the ground with us, whatever it is." So we kind of left after that too, but. That's shows another level of intelligence too. When you talk about communicating with sticks and with clicks, tongue pops, whatever. It's just, it blows my mind. I mean,
it's over here. I thought it was 8 rabid raccoons wrestling a cheap fur coat. I gotta remember
Hillary.
that one.
Oh my God. Hillary fits so good.
That's
so
Hillary.
good with us.
That's Hillary. All right, y'all.
Hey,
we
Verby,
gotta
I was going to tell you.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say hi, Verby.
Verby.
Oh Lord, that's Greg. She's going to pass out.
Verby.
Verby loves Kumbo. She said, "I could listen to you tell stories all day."
Everybody says that. Hell, I could too.
Well, the funniest story is how Verby was at Greg's house and was like, "Is that Kumbo?" And she knew who Kumbo was because she'd been watching YouTube, and Greg didn't know. He's like, "Yeah, how do you know who he is?" I've been watching Bigfoot Outlaws. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for jumping on doing this. I'm not sure if we will have anything before Christmas. Like I said, Roger is going to have a show. It won't be live. It's a pre-recorded show on Christmas Day. If we get a chance, we'll try to do something Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, just for a few minutes, just to say hi to everybody. Maybe we'll see how that works out. But Kumbo was a last minute thing. He just happened to call as I was getting some stuff ready for the show, and he jumped on here just to say hi to everybody. So big thanks to Kumbo for jumping on and saying hi to everyone. Merry Christmas, y'all. We love y'all very much. Hope you got something out of the show. Everybody else say goodbye.
Go ahead.
Bye, y'all. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. I still can't believe I still can't believe it. You know, when I started doing all this, I had not even the faintest, tiniest idea that anybody ever want to hear anything, from me about anything concerning Bigfoot. I'm still amazed, but I just.
Well, Kumbo, you're the real deal, and people like that.
Everybody. Well, thank you, and I appreciate every one of y'all too.
And he's way nicer in person than what y'all see. I mean, he really is. He's so down to earth. I mean, y'all wouldn't think it, but he 100%. Him and Sandy both.
Yep.
Spencer don't know because he don't hardly ever get to meet him. He only got to go one time, got a booger walk. Now he's scared to go back because he's afraid he ain't gonna get no more.
we need to get Kumbo on a Night Owls one night because he has other stories besides booger stories.
Yes, I was getting ready to say. Well,
freaking hilarious.
We've got to talk about more than just Bigfoot, but anyway, we love you. We love you.
I can tell about.
We had a show on for Roger and Peyton. Y'all are all like, "Oh, I love you, Kumbo." How about I love Roger and Peyton?
No, I know my place. Kumbo's up here, and I'm just learning.
No, Roger.
Look, I've learned so much from him and y'all. Look. Let me tell y'all really quick. I was standing at midnight out in his bean field. Misty ran across. We didn't know how she got across the field. They're doing calls, and I'm standing there and thinking, "This is so damn cool. How did I get here?" You know what I mean?
I'm standing in Kumbo's bean field, and Misty ran across the field, and I'm thinking, "This is so damn cool."
Well, no, first I was like, "Who is that over there?" But no, that was
a dream.
Yeah, right. But it just.
God.
I just want to tell y'all how much I appreciate it, and that's all.
It's awesome, made it, Roger.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, y'all talking about stealth and cloaking and moving at the speed of sound. That squirrel.
What?
Yeah, she can get away from you.
Misty running through a bean.
That was her. She was running through a bean field.
This is how legends get started. All right. Kumbo, thank you very much. Roger, thank you, brother. Yes, Peyton, you'll see this later. I appreciate it greatly. House, I hope you and your family are having a great Christmas dinner. To everybody else out there, we will see you very soon. But if we don't, hope everybody is. Love your family, love your friends, love your neighbors. Reach out to everybody. Everybody get along, be appreciative of what you have. Very Merry Christmas from us. Love you all very much. Thank you for joining us today.
Love you guys. Have a good Christmas.
Oh, thank you.
Misty in a bean field. What the hell?
Yeah.
Hey, I just popped up everywhere.
And I almost broke my leg in an armadillo hole, but that's another story. So
what? No, we're getting off here. It's Christmas.
Isn't that same hole I almost fell in because I thought it was a foxhole?
I think that armadillo hole that you stepped in, I think I killed the occupant of the armadillo hole the other night.
Well, good.
Shane and I will
send me pictures of that.
Shane and I have one of our hot date night for us is we get in the truck and we go riding around shooting armadillos and coyotes at night.
Hey, I'm up for that. That's something me and Peyton come down and watch you do.
Yeah.
Let's go shoot armadillos.
gun.
And did you say possums?
Bring your gun.
Shoot possums.
Yeah,
No,
you said
we don't shoot possums. Oh, no, possums are good. You got any spare
okay.
possums?
That's right.
Ship them
Possum.
down here. I'll
Wait,
take
say that again.
Possums are good. Possums are good.
Possums suck.
Yeah.
I
No, they
saw,
do not.
I saw,
The only thing that eats more, the only thing that gets rid of more ticks than possums is turkeys, and they don't
Yeah,
beat them by very much. And,
I'm pretty good at it. I take them out with me.
and
I do like possums. I just have to
What?
give Spencer shit.
No, we're going off here. Good night. Merry Christmas, everybody. Love you.
Good
Bye.
night, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that stuff. Happy
Kumbo,
birthday.
thank you.
Thank you guys for coming on. Thanks everybody that was here.
you're welcome.
Bye, y'all.
Bye y'all.
Oh, man, look. On the computer, you have to hit okay. Anyway. Just turn me on, turn me up, and turn me loose.